Okay, are we working? We're working now? We decided to work now? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everything. Let's try again. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Lawsplaining the Interwebs. I'm your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small, muted law firm in central Minnesota. And this show is brought to you by Rekieta Media. Rekieta Media, which I guess is a thing now. So, hey, hi. What is this? There's a fly. You Dylan? Oh, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. This fly's been waiting for me. I've been gone all weekend. So anyway, sorry. Lots of distractions. I'm back. I'm back. It was muted. It was, but it's back now. No, today is not the pepper episode because I need something special for the pepper episode. It's gonna come very soon. Very soon. Something spicy. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do it when I report on this hearing that we have coming up. So okay. Let's get through some of this early stuff. Okay? Something happened over the weekend. I don't know what. I have no idea what happened over the weekend. But I have a feeling some people aren't very happy right about now. So, and have maybe had like 3 days to marinate in whatever their problem is. Oh my goodness. RZ, man. No. I'm going to address this right away. This is my man. He says, my entire life collapsed this weekend and I've been borderline suicidal the past 48 hours. The people in your Discord may have saved a life. Thanks. That better not be a May, buddy. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. I'm going to see you soon and you know it. So we're going to hang out a little bit. All right? So you better see me when I'm by you. And you know what that means. I'm serious. So anyway, thank you for the donation. That was not necessary. You could have DM'd me that. But much props to the people in my Discord who are really great. They really are terrific. Oh my God. This fly. It's pissing me off. Okay. So on Thursday, of course, were the Funimation audio leaks. Those have been... I'm never going to catch this fly because I don't want to hit my mic. Those have been lightning. This is going to piss me off the entire show. Yeah, those have been lightning. Let me show you what kind of lightning they've been, actually. Because I can show you. We have the technology. So... here we go. We've got... now, this is one of those. Okay? I'm going to pull this up. We're not going to go through all of these. We've got just a couple things to look at here. All right? This is one source. I want to point this out. Because this isn't me. This is you guys. This is what happened on Thursday. And this is the difference, I think. I think a big difference between, I guess, the power of the consumer that we think is absent. Okay, we think it's absent. But here, let me pull this up. So, lovely. Nothing is working. Hold on. Oh my goodness. Just a second. I gotta... all right. Let's see. Is it just not even going to work? This is going to be a huge disaster if it doesn't work anyway. Let me see if I can get this working at least. Okay, I got that working. Thank goodness. All right. Now let's see if I can get this one working. Why? Why is it like this? Maybe it's this one? Nope. Maybe it's this one. Okay. I know this is lovely. Here we go. I think I can do it this way. Pardon me. Pardon me. I really am trying to get this thing going. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Do we have... Oh, there it is. Okay. Here we go. Transition. There. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I want to point out a couple things. So here's Victor Vargas. He uploaded these during the stream, it looks like, on the 30th. And aside from that top shelf TV we had there, I want you to pay attention to one specific thing. And that's right here, baby. So this is the audio of Krillin, which was not super, you know, that was very, very limited in impact, right? I mean, it's Krillin basically a slightly derogatory towards a particular woman. Who cares? Again, who cares about what they said? They're jokes, right? They're jokes. It's not about that. It's about the hypocrisy from their policy. It's about the fact that they're doing it with someone else's property. But here we go. 635,000 views. 635,000 people watched the voice of Krillin make fun of whoever he was making fun of. And then we've got this Chi-Chi. Now this one is criminally underserved. The Chi-Chi audio is only at 39,000 views. Mr. Hercule, you know, Chris Rager, 23,000 views. Chris Sabat, 600,000 people listen to Chris Sabat voice a gay orgy with like rape and everything in it. So I'm just saying, this spread like crazy. This is just one guy. There are several posts out there. There were audio files that people could download. This thing spread all over. It has hit the news in Japan. It has hit several publications here, including IGN, Heavy.com. And this is over the Labor Day weekend. We don't actually know what's coming. If any further coverage is coming this week, I don't know. Maybe there will be more coverage. But very interesting. Part 2 of Chris Sabat, only 56,000 views. So apparently, you know, either people didn't see this one or they got tired of the initial scene. 24,000 views, 43,000 views on Goku. I think that one was his ejaculate one, which was nice. Very good. So, you know, a lot of people have seen these clips, heard these clips. Now, I mean, I don't think Anime News Network covered it. They seem to be very objective. But, you know, okay, so that's that. I wanted to point that out. There is a real power in the consumer. There really is. And we'll see how it works out. Like But you guys spread that around. It was the reach. The reach was impressive. I didn't think it would go anywhere near as far as it did. But yeah, it was crazy to watch over the weekend. I was at camp with my family and just kind of laughing as things developed. And there's a lot of interesting stuff going on around that audio as well. And the relationship between Toei and Funimation. Maybe we'll see some news soon. I mean, I really don't expect much to happen. I don't think like Toei is going to pull the license from Funimation or anything, but they might be pretty pissed off. And I heard they had a meeting. After I aired the audio, I heard they had a meeting coming up, which is kind of funny. But yeah. So that's fun. That's a fun sort of thing that occurred and made me laugh. We do have this plaintiff response to defendant's TCPA motion to dismiss. That is what we're going to start with in just a minute. There are a bunch of super chats I'm going to go through. We're going to start with this. Now, I'll be real with you. There's a couple things about this document. I tweeted out a couple days ago, yesterday or the day before, I don't remember, it's a blur, that I have comments, thoughts, and criticisms. Goodness, and I do have, oh, this fly. I do have criticisms of this document. It is not the best document. It is not great work. However, let's be real about a couple things here. It not being a great document and it not being the greatest work doesn't change what's in it. And there are a lot of reasons that the document can be bad, but I'm not going to make excuses. I will be critical of the document as I would with anybody. So we're going to go through that. And then as we get through this, and yes, it's 1,188 pages. Almost all of that is transcript. The transcripts are included in full, and the word indexes of the transcripts are included in full as well. That is a massive amount of pages. There are a couple affidavits in here that are like, you know, molten lava. They are bad for the defendants, but there are problems with those affidavits too, and we're going to address those as well. And then, God, oh my, hold on. I'm going to get it. I'm not going to get it. It's just going to keep flying right in my eyeballs. This is going to be the most annoying show I've ever done. So we are obviously not going to go through all 1,200 pages. We're going to go through the relevant stuff. Should I preview what I have? Should I preview the thing that I have that no one has seen yet? Should I do that? You guys tell me if I should preview it or if you want to wait. I can preview it. Let me read a couple chats that came in. First one. This was actually sent several hours ago. Was it? The Pie Baker, 14 hours ago, says, wow, Boomer, not only are you late and gay to your own show, not only are you Duchette and Shane to the Funimation Marshmallow, where did it go? Roast, but you're wearing those figgy butt clothes. Take the sacred ointment. You're gonna need it. You're gonna need it. There is no window in here, guys. I can't open a window for the fly to go away. I'm in a vault. It's trapped in a vault with me. Sierra Mike 091 says, won't be able to see this video for 6 months due to shipping out for U.S. Army basic training and specialty training tomorrow morning. Keep up the good fight and pour one out for me. I'm being shipped straight into the path of the hurricane. F in chat, please. Oh, good luck, buddy. Good luck with that. Document Enthusiast says, I hear Ty had to apply the sacred ointment to the Tarrant County e-filing system to make it accept his enormous document. Yeah, we're going to talk about that too. There was a filing problem, and the filing problem is 1,200 page PDFs are huge documents for their file size, and electronic filing systems actually have limits to to the size of file that you could submit. Got him. Nope, I missed him. Dang it. I touched him. They have limits to the file size that you can submit. And so I'm informed what the problem was that the file was too big. They received an error report back. They had to shrink down the document in Adobe. They had to compress it and then resubmit it. And they did get it in somewhere around 40 minutes after midnight. And that shouldn't pose any problems for them. But see, and here's the thing. This is the silly part of it. Hypothetically, let's say that the judge is really angry that day and decides that he'll strike the filing. Okay, they can raise every single one of these issues, including the evidentiary issues at the hearing anyway. They don't have to file these things. So if they make a motion to strike, they could simply raise these issues. Or there's an alternative solution that we're going to talk about in a minute. But the other problem, one of the things that they've been complaining about is the lack of exhibit numbers in the citations. I'm told that that's an artifact of what happened when they compressed the document. And since they were already on a time crunch, they didn't have time to remedy it. Ultimately, I believe each of those citations just goes to a Toye tweet. I don't know for sure. We'll check it out in a minute. But again, it doesn't change the evidence that's in there. And all of this can be clarified at the hearing. So it's not the worst thing in the world. Although it does look unprofessional and it does look sloppy. And I know Ty hates it. And so I'm going to make fun of him the next time I see him. The next time I have him on the show, I'm going to pick on him. And I would encourage you guys to pick on him as well. Because I know he hates it when things don't go correct and don't look, as professional as he would like. So, that said, we've got, where do we go? Document Enthusiast says, I hear Ty had to apply. Oh, wait, I just read that one. Cowboy FMJ91 says, here's 20 to buy a salt gun to eliminate your fly problem, you grifting thought. This is for you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding that much. Arctic Pride says, when Jen Fukunaga's refusal to believe Chuck, you'd think someone would tag Rick Santorum and echo Blight about possible negligence. Would he want someone that let this crap happen under his watch be a partner in his company? I've heard Gen is on the way out completely. He's a 5% shareholder. I heard he's going. So Gen doesn't want any of this controversy. He doesn't want any problems devaluing the company before he rolls out. So take whatever Gen says with a grain of salt. Or are you talking about from the affidavit? Yeah, Huber had a conversation with Gen who talked about the TCPA or whatever. So, yeah, Gen doesn't want this. This messes with his, it messes with the company that he's trying to sell. Oh, yes. Preview. What's this? Plaintiff's second amended petition. This is a document that was filed this evening. The second amended petition. We will go through it. It is 29 pages, according to my PDF. And that'll be interesting. We're not going to go through it until after we go through this other document because I want to go through the problems with this document and talk about why this exists in the first place. So, and talk about what all this means. What's it mean? Okay, AK Arbiter says, wouldn't it be funny if Toei not only cut off Funimation from the rights to DBZ, but then turned around and sued Funny for disturbing said rights to others, i.e. Sabbath, without their, or distributing said rights to others without their permission. That'd be hilarious. I don't think it's happening, but we can dream. No Clue says, slightly off topic, can the ZQ Zoe Quinn witch be made to pay for what she did? These SJW mobs finally claim someone's life. I don't think it's the first time. Really don't. I think it might be the first high-profile one. It makes me angry thinking this could have happened to Vic too. Legally, is there anything we can do? I doubt it. I doubt it. But I haven't fully looked into the situation. Raider J says, Huber's comments about the slap is strange to me. Why would that get brought up? Why do people suddenly know about it and its details? Because they were already talking to their counsel at the time that Chuck talked again, is my guess. Makes me wonder, did the defendants contact the expert or did the expert contact them? I mean, they wouldn't have to talk to the expert. They'd talk to their in-house counsel, Evan Stone. I'm sure he brought up the TCPA as a possible outcome. Possible solution. Shadow6031X says, Nick, given how all the evidence is taken in light most favorable to Vic, how does the Slaytosh affidavit not single-handedly annihilate Monica and Ron's TCPA motion, at least when it comes to TI? Am I missing something? Oh, not just the TI. TI, defamation, and civil conspiracy all happen, and TI with business prospects all happen in that conversation. All of it. How does it not single-handedly annihilate it? It does. It does. Texan83 says, what up, people? And all the New Zealand folks missing the Rock 150p countdown. Hey, Jez, how you going? 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 I don't understand New Zealand jokes. Talons here says, I heard that T. Greg Doucette was delighted that Hurricane Dorian was coming to the Carolinas. Finally, after generations of inbreeding, he can use his web feet and hands. Aww. Aww. Okay. Matt Rosenfield says, popcorn's ready, excited for the show. Here's some whiskey money, Nick. I'm Canadian, but if I ever get arrested in Minnesota, I'll be sure to give you a call. Sounds good, buddy. Don't talk to the cops. Talk to me first. Tucker says, the Spurg levels of sad little cucks on Twitter are over 9,000. Insert clever name here says, special ointment applicator. Harbinger 345 says, we have the technology. Some boomer 30 seconds before an earth-shattering disaster fest. No kidding. Hey Sting says, I wanted to thank everyone. I plugged my novel, The Crimson Spark, on the last show, and that night it reached the #1 best-selling new release in abuse fiction. Currently on top again. Thank you all. Check it out. There you go. There you go. Good job, Hastings. Ryan Dewig says, seeing Nick's reaction to The Fly, I'm getting visions of One Punch Man versus Mosquito in his apartment. Fluffy Ted says, RZ, no clue what you're going through, but please keep, oh yeah, RZDEQ, please keep on going, if only to spite the haters. Flex on them. Show you're stronger than whatever the world can throw at you. Reach out on Twitter if you want to talk. Peace, mate. Yeah, and RZ is a good dude. Really is. I'm going to see you really soon, and you know it. So you better be there. West Nile Chan says, Nick, prepare to be sued for having a full head of luscious hair and the respiratory strength to be intimate with a woman by J. Skeeter Lemoine and Cuck Lightyear. Also, Ridge Wallet as an anniversary gift was a great idea. Awesome. And we are going to do a Ridge Wallet segment a little bit later in the show because I think I owe them one or two more. So I'm going to make sure and do that, one of those today. Scott Mooney says, hi, Nick. I am what it is. I hope I got that term right. A normie. I am what is a normie, but got interested in this case when the Dallas Morning News story came out. I've since Googled up the case and found your coverage. Thanks for covering. Hey, thanks, buddy. My pleasure. Nick Naylor says, hey, Nick, my brother-in-law lost a civil suit and the plaintiff requested his checks be garnished outright. Is this even legal? We were under the impression that he would have to miss payments before it could get garnished. Depends on the state. Really depends on the state. Prince Hyliel says, Japan was planning to use Goku for the Olympics as a mascot. Then this went out. Big deal. Not good. Not good. PGN White Knight says, Japan is furious. Was denied service when trying for duty free at some places in Tokyo because I'm American due to the Vic situation. Yes, they cited that as a reason. Whoa. Wow. Undead says, here's a Jackson for the fly removal laser fund. Ryan Mercado says, what's the difference between you, Ty, and Law Twitter? You and Ty both have functioning brains with brain cells, while Law Twitter all share one brain with one dysfunctioning brain cell. Thanks, buddy. Okay. Here we go. Let's get into this document. So this is the response to defendant's TCPA motions to dismiss. Let me frame this in what's the important, what you have to accomplish. Okay, first things first. They did not need to file this document. Didn't need to file it. In fact, T. Greg Doucette said they shouldn't file anything in writing at all, right? I don't know if people remember that because that was 200,000 tweets ago. Also, T. Greg, if you haven't figured this out yet, you dummy, the day that you were banned, you finally gained Twitter followers again. Stop tweeting so much and people won't hate being subscribed to you. It's amazing. It's amazing. I know you can't because you're disabled or whatever. Anyway, so T. Greg even mentioned this. You don't have to file an anti-slap response. A lot of practitioners don't. They just go straight into the hearing and they raise all of their issues at hearing. It's how you can do this without ambushing the other party and blah, 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 blah. There are benefits and downsides to both. Ty and Co. chose to file the filings. Then they had problems with the filings. So maybe that's one of the downsides. But at the end of the day, this filing is not required to accomplish the dismissal of the TCPA. So one of the criticisms is the prayer at the end only lists Funimation. It doesn't list the other three defendants. That doesn't impact the case in any meaningful way because they can ask for the relief at the hearing. None of this matters in that sense. So the main thing they were hoping to do is get that motion to strike in, which is in here as well. We'll get to that in just a bit. But what they need to do right now is to first combat the notion that any of the defendants have raised the TCPA successfully. That's a hard task, very hard. Second, they need to go ahead and make a prima facie case or a prima facie showing of each element of each cause of action, okay? That does not mean they have to prove anything. They have to have a prima facie showing. And as it says over and over in here, what that is the minimum quantum of information that is necessary to show that there is a valid cause of action. Show that there is this. And in a TCPA, that is done by something called clear and specific evidence, which just means that the evidence has to be clear and specifically related to the cause of action. That's it. It doesn't have to be direct evidence. It can be circumstantial evidence. You can draw rational inferences so long as those inferences are clear and specific and not vast leaps of logic. And how do you do and how do you do that? Sorry. It can be direct evidence. It can be circumstantial evidence. It just has to, like I said, it just has to be a rational inference, and that is in the court's discretion. So you will ask the court to see the rational inference, and if the court agrees with you, good. If they don't, bad. That's just how it goes. So then if they do that, that's all this document has to accomplish. That's all the response to TCPA has to accomplish. They do that, they've technically passed TCPA unless the defendants can raise an affirmative defense by a preponderance of the evidence. So this is different than a prima facie showing. A prima facie showing weighs all evidence in favor of the non-moving party. So that's Vic. Preponderance of the evidence is a battle of evidence. Okay? So in a prima facie showing, they don't really get to contest your case. It's almost like a grand jury indictment. They don't get to contest your case. You get to put forth the case with the evidence, and they have to deal with that. They only get to contest it by raising an affirmative defense. Now, as we saw in Kahn versus Vanderlinden, an affirmative defense of truth is not available to the defamation causes of action that involve a matter of public concern, And their argument is that these are matters of public concern. They don't get the affirmative defense of truth. That means that Ty has to prove falsity. Okay. Proving falsity is, well, showing falsity at TCPA is a prima facie showing of falsity. So it doesn't matter how much you've done this. People get wrapped up in this idea of having to prove something false, which of course is impossible. When the court says you have to prove it false, you have to show it by a preponderance of the evidence that it is more likely false than not false. That's a different standard than proof, of course, but they don't have to get there yet. That's after the TCPA. On TCPA, it's just a prima facie showing. And so the role of this document, the role of the hearing, is to constantly remind the judge, Your Honor, let's not get wrapped up in going too far here. We don't have discovery. We don't have all of the tools and protections in place for all of the evidence yet. We are still at the stage of making a prima facie showing. So if the defendants want to try and raise truthfulness on evidence, too bad. You can object to it and say, this isn't relevant. It's not their job to prove truth. It's my job to prove falsity, or to show a prima facie showing of falsity. That is way different. We're not dueling in evidence here. We're just making the prima facie showing. They get to raise their evidence at trial to do that. And keeping the judge focused on that is important. Again, if this is a matter of public concern, according to Vanderlinden, they don't get truth as an affirmative defense, which means that a large portion of the evidence that they filed is likely frivolous and irrelevant, because the only thing they have to prove is this a matter of public concern that implicates an exercise of their First Amendment rights? That's what the defendants have to prove. And they have to do that by a preponderance of the evidence. Any other evidence that they raise is pointless, except for when it relates to an affirmative defense. Now, they have other affirmative defenses in there, like Section 230, which is not really, it's going to be hard to show a Section 230 claim, and they may not get to raise that issue anyway. There's a whole bunch of stuff. But let's just go through the motion. I'm talking too much. And I really want to get to that second document here. Silver Flame says, what are the chances of Toei seeing Chuck's affidavit? It's going to happen. How much would you expect them to react? Or how would you expect them to react? I mean, I don't know. I don't know Toei Animation. I know that Dragon Ball is huge for them. It's an important year. I've heard the contract renewal date or year is this year for them with Funimation. So they may be looking to get out. They're between seasons. Dragon Ball Super is done recording. They've got another Super coming out, I believe, at some point. Whether or not Funimation will have that contract remains in the air. They may want to stick with the current voice cast. They may not. They may want to can them. We'll see. The Olympics again, with all this embarrassing audio, it may be enough to tip it. Again, it's not really the goal. I think it'd be funny. I think it'd be very, very funny. But it's not, wasn't set out to do that. It was set out merely to show the hypocrisy of Funimation in unequal application of their workplace policies. Dark Fox and says, so I was doing my Uber Lyft driving the other day, listening to your show, and someone with no stock in the case or anime took an interest in the case after I summarized what's gone on this far. Fun stuff. Riley Pettyjohn says, first super chat, Nick. Hey, thanks, buddy. Love the lawsplaining in the show, but above all else, love the rants. Keep them coming. Also, what are your thoughts on the ocean dub of Dragon Ball Z? I don't know. I'm so bad. I don't know the difference. Ryan Murray says, hey, buddy, I had a pretty wild weekend. Won my competition on Saturday, turned 30 yesterday and drank all the whiskey, and then floated the river today. Sent you a video of me pulling a truck in a Discord. Oh, yeah! Yeah, that's awesome, man. You won that competition? That's great. I'll show Lady Raggets too. We'll laugh. Have a good time. Can't wait to talk to you again, man. You're a good dude. Okay. Let's get into this. Background facts. For years, the work environment at Funimation Productions LLC was amorous and sexually charged, according to deposition of Monica Rial, Vic Mignogna, and the affidavit of Chuck Huber. Its programming is still salacious or sexual, such as Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt, starring Jamie Markey, also a writer, as Panty, Monica Rial as Stocking, a show about sex and eating candy, and two fallen angels dressed as schoolgirls who use their lingerie as weapons to fight bad guys. And that's from Funimation and TTDILA, Anime Expo. Good job. And Prison School, where, quote, the school is ruled by a secret council of sadistic female students and boys are in for a world of hurt. A super raunchy anime series and most perverted anime show. So there you go. Good descriptions. Sorry, I should have warned everybody and redacted this. I really apologize that you have to see that. At times, Funimation uses provocative imagery to promote its shows, such as Jamie and Monica in this promotion for their show Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt. In fact, this raunchy environment at times appears at conventions attended by its voice actors. For example, Jamie making out with Vic at the 2010 Konichiwa convention in Tucson, Arizona, or Monica being spanked at the 2011 Anime Detour convention in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I will go throw holy water all over that place. Rumors of Vic being an asshole, using fans, and being a pedophile were begun by Funimation's de facto manager, Chris Sabat, Monica, and Jamie in the early 2000s. Long before any posts or tweets cited by defendants were made, Funimation nevertheless pointed to the January 16, 2019 tweet from Han Leia, tagging it with the question, "Hey Funimation, why do you employ a known pedophile?" and linking to a post on Pretty Ugly Little Liar as initiating allegations against Vic and triggering its investigation. But Han Leia did not state that Vic is a known pedophile. And Vic has never been charged as such. Indeed, on January 18th, 2019, Mars Girl posted, "Hey, I just wanted to be certain. Is it possible you were remembering voice actor Ilich Guardiola, referring to a different former Funimation voice actor, not Vic, had been the one charged with sexually assaulting a minor." So, good job. Thank you, Mars Girl, for clearing that up, that Han Leia meant Illich and not Vic. And Funimation would have to know that since that was their employee. On January 20th, Vic tweeted unequivocal denials of Han Leia's charges and sincerely apologized to anyone who felt he had been less than kind and grateful, or whom he had made feel badly or uncomfortable. He finished with as clear a statement as possible. Finally, any allegations of sexual harassment, sexual assault, or most disturbingly pedophilia are completely and utterly false. My heart weeps for anyone who endures violations of this kind. So to be accused of harming others in this way, I have no words. A few days later, I'm not going to go through all of these footnotes at this point in time. Most of these are just references to articles and stuff like that. A few days later, on January 22nd, Ronald began telephoning. Oh, and by the way, Ron's been tweeting, DMing me lately. So that's been nice. Nothing brightens the day like DMs from Ron Toye. So thanks, Ron. Thanks, Ron. I really enjoy talking to you. Our talks are so great. Good job. Let's see. So Ronald began telephoning and tweeting Christopher Slatosh, host of the Kamehacon convention, Ronald accusing Vic of assaulting 4 people, Monica, the 2 twins who live with me, and another voice actor's girlfriend. Told Slatosh that Sony was conducting an investigation and that criminal charges would soon be filed against Vic. Now, this is important because this isn't in the text messages. This is in the affidavit of Chris Slatosh. Monica also telephoned Slatosh and called Vic a sexual predator and repeatedly asserted that criminal charges would soon be filed against him. Just a second, I have to check one thing. Okay, back to it. So here we have new information. This is Slatosh being told. Slatosh is CEO of Kamehacon. I think you guys know that. He was told by both Monica and Ron that criminal charges were coming against Vic. I mean, did they come against Vic? Of course they didn't. There's other stuff that's in the Citations affidavit that we're going to go through. I mean, you guys have read this, right? You guys know about this stuff. So I'm kind of just burning through this, and we'll hit the important points as we go. And by the way, if this isn't TI, I don't know what is. During these telephone conversations, Monica and Ronald both urged Citations to breach his contract with Vic, despite his explanation that doing so would breach his written contract with Vic and to refuse continuing to do business with Vic in the future. Ronald threatened that Monica would cancel her appearance at Kamehacon, and she did, and that his company would withdraw its financial sponsorship of the convention, which I believe it did. Monica likewise threatened to convince other voice actors to cancel their appearances at Kamehacon, which they did, if Citations did not breach his written contract with Vic. Due to Ronald's disclosure of Sony's investigation and his and Monica's pressure, Citations canceled Vic's appearance at Kamehacon in breach of his written agreement. Citations eventually re-invited Vic to attend Kamehacon, but only after considerable expense by both sides and requiring Vic to pay for additional security, something not required of other guests. So that is what we call a material change to the agreement. So it's not a reinstatement of the original contract. It is a new contract. There is a materially different agreement between the two parties that had to be negotiated, and they had to come to a new meeting of the minds. So there's some people out on Twitter land a while back who suggested that it was just a reinstatement of the contract, so no breach occurred, so therefore no TI, which would also be incorrect because TI doesn't require breach. It requires interference that causes damage. And so if you had to expend a bunch of money to recover for someone's interference, that could still be a tortious interference claim. But the fact that it was breached and there's a new contract, of course, makes it more trouble. Monica made good on her threat. And that one, that's again in Citations' affidavit. January 23rd, Monica and Tammy Dembo, a Sony employee, exchanged email in which Monica thanks her. I hope you're following along with this argument. No, I'm not going to show the Ron DMs. No, not yet. What if he DMs me something else better? Monica made good on her threat. January 23rd, Monica and Tammy Dembo, Sony employee, exchanged email in which Monica thanks her for making me feel at ease and helping me realize it wasn't anything I did wrong. And Dembo is glad it helped to talk it through. January 24th, Ronald Toye tweeted that I know with 100% certainty that Vic assaulted 4 people I love. Notice, Tammy Dembo tells Monica that it wasn't anything she did wrong and glad it helped to talk through. This is before she's even interviewed Vic. What's going on here? That smells like conspiracy. And if you want to know what conspiracy smells like, just imagine what Dominique Sky's sweaty latex cosplay smells like after a long day of being ogled. On January 25th, Dembo contacted Vic. Funimation was conducting a confidential investigation. Into Vic's writing Monica's name on a jelly bean she threw to him at a convention, not at Funimation's offices, and then eating it. His flirting with 2 adult women at a convention, not at Funimation's offices, who had been flirting with him for more than a year. And a single consensual kiss between Vic and a coworker more than 3 years ago at Funimation's office, for which no complaint was ever made. There was no allegation of abuse, assault, or harassment. That day, Ronald tweeted, Vic assaulted 4 people very close to me. All right. On January 26th, Ronald declared that Vic is guilty of sexual assault. I mean, I genuinely don't think Ron understands that saying someone is guilty of sexual assault is defamation per se. It's defamation per se. It is the definition of defamation per se on 2 accounts: deviant sexual conduct and criminal activity. specific crime, and that Vic is a predator. 2 days later, January 28th, Ron publicly stated that Vic is a man with a clear history of sexual deviancy. Defamation per se. Next day, January 29th, Funimation informed Vic that his contract with Funimation was terminated, but gave him no reason for the termination. January 30th, Monica emailed Denbo thanking her for a January 29th voicemail update and for being so kind. Man, that's an interesting little exchange, isn't it? Monica also exchanged 6 emails with Lisa Gibson that day, during which Monica asked Gibson what she could say publicly, broached when Funimation would make a statement, and thanked Gibson for her update. Man, that sounds like either conspiracy or an agency/employee relationship. It sure sounds like she had to get permission from Funimation, and Funimation was coordinating with her on the public messaging against Vic Mignogna. It sure seems like those two parties were engaged in a scheme to defame someone else. That's civil conspiracy. On January 31st, Monica had a telephone call with Gibson and Sony's Scott Barretto, our star affiant. And Ronald tweeted, "I know of at least 4 assaults. I'm glad to see conventions canceled and the truth coming to light." 3 days after her telephone calls with Funimation executives Gibson and Barretto, Monica mirrored Ronald's language when she tweeted, "The truth will come out." That day, Vic publicly denied his detractors' allegations. Wasting no time, on February 4th, Ronald mocked Vic's apology and publicly claimed, "I know without a question he hurt people very close to me. Those tears are fake." He then declared there were over 100 ladies and counting coming forward with accusations against Vic. The next day, February 5th, Ronald publicly called on Funimation to make a public statement about Vic and for Vic to be banned indefinitely. I mean, that is right there, potentially TI. Again, but even if that isn't, it sure is evidence of Ron's intentions, isn't it? Again, publicly calling Vic a predator. On February 6th, Ron again publicly accused Vic of assaulting my fiance. Ron does not have poor impulse control at all. Not at all. Declared there are over 100 accounts of assault, made it clear that the objective was Vic being blacklisted and out of work, and predicted that the proof of allegations against Vic will be him getting fired from everything. So that's nice. Just a second. Hold on, y'all. I have to do something real quick. This is my life. My life is just a disaster of having to do stuff on the fly, like The Fly, right? Oh my goodness. Okay. Just a moment. I know this is super fun for you guys. You want DMs? You guys always want the DMs. Let's see. Why do you guys always want the DMs? That's what I want to know. Don't you want anything else? Don't you want anything else in this world? Just DMs, DMs, DMs with you. Maybe I'll show them in a minute. Some of them. I don't know. I haven't decided. Here we go. Hold on. I mean, I'm definitely not like copying and pasting them into a file right now. That's not happening, so don't get your hopes up. Why would I do that live on a show anyway? That seems very unprofessional. Like, gee, Nick, can't you do this on your own time? Well, no. I can't. If I did it, that would be, that would be smart. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this guy. So just so you know, I got to point it out. Ron is not scared. He's not rattled. He knows they're going to win. He is definitely sane and rational and calm and collected. He definitely doesn't have any sort of tough guy complex. I want to be very, very clear on that Ron definitely doesn't try to like intimidate people or anything. That's not a thing that Ron does. So, what's a funny bit? I guess I could show a funny bit real quick. Okay, I'll show this one. Hold on. I'm not going to show you a bunch, right? Because there's like a whole thing here. Like a whole thing. Plus, this isn't anything sensitive or anything like that. Who knows? Who knows? Here we go. All right. So, he mentioned something. I responded here, but that's not important. You didn't try anything, Ron. He says, "Lol, your trolls are going after my Yelp reviews. Can you say desperation?" I had to let him know. So he's broken up here, right? He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand. They're laughing at you, Ron. Like they're going after your Yelp reviews. They're laughing at you, man. They're laughing. It's funny. And so I put his Knockouts haircut review up there. And the rest of the DM section here is me saying, "Come on, man. This is funny. This is great." This is funny stuff. And if you guys haven't looked up Knockouts haircuts for men in Plano, Texas, I strongly urge you just to go give that website a little peek. A little peek. Ron respects women like he respects haircuts. It's fantastic. But see, I don't mean to be mean to Ron here. I really don't. He is so far out of understanding what's going on with all of this. With all of this. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get when people are laughing and mocking. He thinks that that's like an attack. It's not an attack. It's like standing across the street and watching Lemoine drag one leg behind him as he goes in to find all the con sluts and just laughing at him. That's not an attack. That's just laughter. He thinks, first of all, he thinks everybody's going to turn on me when they find out that I stood up for Vic. Don't ask how that works. Like, I don't know how that works. I don't understand. Apparently, you guys don't know that I looked into the situation, determined that I believe Vic's side of this story more than I believe their side of the story. And so I stood up for him. You guys have not figured that out. And when you do, I'm toast. Okay? I am done. And you trolls will turn on me in a heartbeat. So these are the conversations that I have had with Ron Toye. There are more. And someday I'll go through them, but that's not what this show is for. That's not what this show is for. This guy, he has no idea. By the way, he has no idea. I'm pretty sure he doesn't know about the Citations affidavit, even though he has it, or Lemoine downplayed it or something. He doesn't know that affidavit should, in any sane court, get past TCPA. On at least TI, if not both TIs, defamation, and civil conspiracy. Because in Slaytosh's affidavit, he says Monica and Ron are on the phone together at the same time. Conspiracy, done. They are not one person. They are two different people, and it's conspiracy at that point. They're done. They're both acting in furtherance of the TI and the defamation. They're done. Like, that is a prima facie showing, that affidavit. So, it's interesting. Okay, Rolana 1 says, can we assume that Ty has the Ron DMs? No, I don't think the Ron DMs are currently relevant to Vic's case. Ron and I actually haven't talked about the case or anything that should be passed on to Ty at this point. So, no. You cannot assume that. I have not actually. You guys are the first people to see the DM, that DM. So I don't, no. Ray Drake says, getting to listen live for a second due to work being closed. Dorian Kuhn headed here with the sacred ointment. Good luck. Good luck with that, buddy. I think I read Rolana 1. Yeah, would you be able to tell us or show us what Ron Toya has been DMing you about? Dysrhythmia says, I remember voice actress Leah Clark calling Vic the Harvey Weinstein of the anime industry early on in this mess. Now the Sabbath stuff is out. I don't think that tweet has aged well. Oh, we're getting to the Sabbath stuff. Kaz Ma says, please wear the wife beater to the hearing. I don't know if that's the best idea. I can't tell you if I'm going to be in the courtroom in 4 days. There's now money on it. People are betting on if I'll be there or not. You'll just have to see. Swarm069 says, my God, Ron is the most insecure little goblin I ever had the misfortune of knowing about. Even Gollum wasn't this deluded. Yeah, it's good. Okay. Back to it. Ron publicly called on Funimation to make a public statement about Vic and for Vic to be banned indefinitely. Again, publicly calling Vic a predator. On February 6th, Ron again publicly accused Vic of assaulting my personal fiance. Declared there are over 100 accounts of assault. Made it clear that the objective was Vic being blacklisted and out of work. And predicted that the proof of allegations against Vic will be him getting fired from everything. I realized I just read that. The next day, February 7th, in an email to Funimation's Trina Simon, Monica accused Vic of sexually assaulting her in 2007. Notice this is after the investigation. Why didn't she tell investigators about this? Because it's all fake. It's all fake. It's all fake. Of course it's fake! As if synchronized, Jamie tweeted the same day that Vic is a monster. There are dozens upon dozens of reports. And Ronald again publicly called on Funimation to make a statement. Jamie then reveals their plan. Use name and shame to destroy Vic's reputation. So here's those exhibit lists that got screwed up. But you can actually, the description of the tweet is actually in here. So, okay, again, this is missing. It looks really sloppy. It's a mess. But here are these things which are attached to this document. Here's the list of the Bates label. This is the tweet from Jamie. This is Ronald's deposition exhibit with his tweet attached here. Jamie, I want his balls quote is here. So like the whole the people making a big deal out of this, again, yeah, it's sloppy and unprofessional. Absolutely. Does it have any impact on the filing or the case? Not really. Not really. February 8th, Vic tweeted that he did not want anyone claiming to support him making threats. Let me be perfectly clear that I would never condone anything approaching this whatsoever, and I call upon anyone to stop doing it to stop this immediately. That same day, Monica and Funimation's Colleen Carroll mocked Vic for his private email to Monica, explaining that he had always considered her a dear friend and asking her to tell him what he had done to make her so angry. The next day, February 9th, like, look at how much they were going after him. They were gunning for this guy, and that's what they're laying out here. Every single day. Funimation has to talk. Funimation has to talk. They weren't satisfied with him already being fired and ruined. Funimation has to say something, right? Not good enough to just have his career already tossed in a gutter. They have to do it publicly or it's not good enough for the mob. PsychoFire23 says, Kick Vic, no one can beat us burning someone's life down in the anime industry. Kaio Ani arsonist, hold my sake. Whoa. Wow. Oh my goodness, that's an insensitive joke. How dare you? How dare you make an insensitive joke? Kiridas says, hey Nick, shilling my Indiegogo again, trying to get an audiobook off the ground. I may not be a beard daughter, but I have a beard. Is that good enough? More info at havedtruth.com or search Indiegogo for Legacy Lost and Found. Have a great night. Have a great night. Jamie tweeted that Vic assaulted her. She could not remember when, by grabbing her hair and whispering something in her ear that she could not remember, then stating that Vic had done this exact thing to a half a dozen other women that I personally know, and that he's a predator. 2 days later, Funimation tweeted that following an investigation, Funimation will not be engaging Mignogna in future productions. We do not condone any kind of harassment or threatening behavior being directed at anyone. Excuse me. Monica added to Funimation's tweet that there were multiple investigations with testimony, proof, evidence. Yes, that tweet of hers that you remember is in the response to Funimation. And Funimation did nothing. Nothing to correct it. I am one of dozens of men and women who participated in the multiple investigations with testimony, proof, and evidence. I think at least 2 of those things are lacking from any alleged investigation. Later that day, Monica tweeted, and just so we're clear, he's the legal definition of harassment. Now, granted, in her deposition, she says she meant something else, but here's the problem. They don't really get to argue that at this point. They don't really get to argue that. She did tweet that. She can argue what it meant in front of a jury. In front of a jury. Funimation's Twitter followers knew exactly what Funimation was saying. Result of its investigation was that Vic had engaged in harassment or threatening behavior, particularly since Monica had reinforced it with her description of multiple investigations with testimony, proof, evidence. I am one of dozens of men and women who participated. Oddly, Funimation has never contradicted or corrected Monica's signal boosting. 2 days later. Oh, excuse me. I'm running on 2 hours of sleep. 2 days later, Vic tweeted that he had no idea that any animosity towards him had existed until these last few weeks, which is backed up by the Huber affidavit, and apologized if he had made anyone feel uncomfortable and begged for people to please be kind to one another. Very last thing I want is for anyone to be hatefully targeted, especially not on my behalf. On February 16th, Ronald tweeted that Vic would be a registered sex offender, per se. The next day, Monica tweeted that, 2 days later, he confirmed that Monica was a Funimation employee. The next day, Monica tweeted that Vic had been accused of sexual harassment, alleged Vic had grabbed her hair and whispered in her ear without recalling what was said, and claimed she witnessed him do it to so many people. She claimed he had forced a kiss on her in the mid-2000s and called him a predator. Now notice, there's an interesting little subtlety here. She did this in the context of Funimation has announced the investigation. Now people are thinking that Vic has been investigated for these things, which does not appear to be true. At least no one has actually testified to that. Let's see. Later in her deposition, her motion to dismiss, Monica expanded on her first forced kiss story, claiming Vic invited her to his hotel room, threw her on his bed, and forcibly kissed her, and that Stan Dolan witnessed her leaving Vic's hotel room. Both Vic and Mr. Dolan expressly deny Monica's allegations. Oof. February 19th, Ronald suddenly switched from calling Vic a predator, registered sex offender, and accusing him of assault and harassment to towing the line that Funimation would henceforth use. Vic had been terminated by Funimation for inappropriate conduct. They've got objections, special exceptions, and motion to strike. So this is, you know, this is a long process of going through this document. I'm going to go through some of this argument. I'm not going to go through all of it. I'm not going to go through all of it. Because this document, if you're just joining us, this is coming. This is the thing that no one has seen. I haven't even read it. I haven't even read all of it. It's so fresh. Haven't read all of it. Barely read any of it. But we're going to go through that in just a minute. That's why we're not going to go through the other. I'm going to lay out how they make these arguments. And then we're going to go ahead and skip to the affidavits. Oh my goodness. Can I not yawn? Josh P says, late as F, but Nick, how can I be summoned to jury duty in Texas to convict a guy for threatening the life of a judge when he said that he was going to talk to the judge in an angry tone, but Ron can get away with blatant threats because he didn't technically make those threats to the judge. That's the big difference. Big difference. Red Pill Journey says, scenario, Monica sits on Sabbath's casting couch. Oh, it would break immediately. If you defame Vic with me, we will get you a character next, and it'll have their own poster since you were salty about Broly. Monica says, well, this one time. Sabbath says, good, go with that. Excuse me. I am trying to wake up. I've had such a long day. Response to defendant's motion. So defendant's motion to dismiss initiated a 3-step process. This is what I want to go through because this is a well-articulated argument that they'll be presenting to court, and they'll be highly, I'm guessing, focused on this at oral argument. They have to go through this. Sorry for making you guys yawn. They have to go through this, and they have to remind the judge, because judges are people, and they get interested in other stuff, and law is boring, and so they kind of stray here, and you have to sometimes bring them back. So that's going to be their job. 3-step process. First, each defendant has the initial burden to show by a preponderance of the evidence that Vic's claims against it, him, her, and him are based on, related to, or in response to that defendant's exercise of the right of free speech, right to petition, or the right of association. A preponderance of the evidence means that the greater weight and degree of credible evidence creates a reasonable belief in the truth of the matter. That's basically 51% to 49%. The court considers the live pleadings as well as supporting and opposing affidavits stating the facts on which the claims are based. Why do you think we have a new pleading today? Hence, each defendant must show it is more likely than not, based on the pleadings and affidavits, that Vic's claims against it, her, him are based on, related to, or in response to that defendant's exercise of a right protected by the TCPA. Whether the TCPA applies is a threshold question. Court must first ascertain that the rights a defendant claims are constitutional rights protected by the First Amendment as defined in the TCPA, and that Vic's legal action was brought to intimidate or silence that defendant's expression of those rights in a matter of public concern. If a defendant cannot satisfy its burden, its motion must be denied. Let's see. If a defendant satisfies this burden, Vic must establish a prima facie case for each essential element of the claim against that defendant by clear and specific evidence. The requirement of a prima facie case means that Vic must produce the minimum quantum of evidence that is necessary to support a rational inference that the allegation of fact is true without considering rebuttal or contradiction, citing Dallas Morning News Incorporated versus Hall. And that's just the icing on the cake there. That's just I don't know if that's a fun Easter egg, but I think that's a fun Easter egg. Dysrhythmia says, what his Yelp reviews show is that Ron has not reformed from his wife beating days. They instead suggest that being with his minor celebrity fiance gives him the clout he never had before, which also stops him from hitting Monica. All right. Clear and specific evidence is not a heightened evidentiary standard. So what they're doing here is they're very meticulously laying out each important aspect of how the legal process works on TCPA. They're doing it with citations, and they're doing it methodically because they're going to go back. They're setting up a template here. They say, we're going to show you this, then this, then this, then this, then this. Every single time for every single claim. Not a heightened evidentiary standard. Rather, it means that Vic must provide enough detail to show the factual basis for his claim and support a rational inference that the allegation of fact is true. Vic is not required to provide direct evidence. And this is, here's the footnote here. The Texas Supreme Court has expressly disapproved interpretations of TCPA that require direct evidence of each essential element of the underlying claim to avoid dismissal, and instead has held that pleadings and evidence that establish the facts necessary to support the essential elements of a claim are sufficient to resist a TCPA motion to dismiss. Let's see. He may rely on circumstantial evidence if the inference drawn is reasonable. At this stage of the proceedings, the court presumes the truth of Vic's assertions, views the pleadings and evidence in the light most favorable to him, and favors the conclusion that his claims are not predicated on protected expression. Even if Vic satisfies his burden, the court must dismiss a claim if a defendant can establish each essential element of a valid defense to that claim by a preponderance of the evidence. Okay. So we've got... I'm trying not to. I'm really not just... I'm definitely coughing, not yawning. So they make the argument here that the defendant's communications are not subject to the TCPA's protections. I think this is a good argument. I don't know if it's going to be effective at all. But they do make a very good argument here because... well, do we want to read this? We're on page 12 of 35. We got a lot to go. Let's put this on hold. Let's put this on hold, right? Let's go to the new document. Let's go to the new document. What do you guys think? Do you have a problem with going to the new document? You leave a comment or whatever and tell me I suck. I don't care. I know you guys have read this. Oh, wait. Let's go to the affidavits real quick and then the new document. Affidavits, new document. Okay. And then I'm going to come back to this document where we left off probably tomorrow. Although the defendants are going to file their response tomorrow. So, here we go. Let's hit this first. Here's the affidavit of Chuck Huber. And we're going to talk about the good and the bad about this. On this day, Chuck Huber, personally known to me to be the affiant herein, appeared before me and being sworn according to law on his oath, deposed and said as follows. My name is Chuck Huber. Oh, I should have redacted that. Oh, you guys have seen it. It doesn't really matter. I'm over the age of 18 years and competent to make this affidavit. I have personal knowledge of the facts stated in this affidavit, and these facts are true and correct. Facts in this affidavit should not be construed to condone Vic Mignogna's behavior, especially as it relates to his infidelity towards Michelle Specht, which is personally heartbreaking and horrible. I have been an anime voice actor, or VA, since 1998 and have performed over 200 roles. I've attended over 150 anime conventions. I've been a voice actor for Funimation since 1998 and am intimately familiar with the work environment at Funimation. I am friends with several employees of Funimation and have had direct communication with former CEO Jin Fukunaga, Karen Mika, Justin Cook, and Colleen Klinkenbeard through my years of employment at Funimation. I've been a voice actor for Okratron 5000, a company owned by Chris Sabat. I mean, should I say this? No. Let me just suggest that there are people at Funimation right now who have been very, very, very quiet since this stuff happened to Vic. And it might have to do with their overtly sexual behavior throughout their employment at Funimation. Okay. I've been a voice actor for Okratron 5000, a company owned by Chris Sabat since 2004, and have been an employee of Deep Space Mustache, a film company founded by Chris Sabat during 2012 to 2013. I've been friends with plaintiff Victor Mignogna for at least 10 years. I've been friends with defendants Jamie Markey and Monica Rial for at least 10 years. I know Ron Toye from his relationship with Monica Rial. First time I heard Vic's name was in a conversation in 2003 or 2004 with Chris Sabat. This occurred while I was recording for Funimation Property at Okratron 5000. No, Kyle Jordan, trust me. It's not because they agree with Vic. It's not because they agree with Vic. It's because their behavior was overtly sexual in ways that make Vic's allegations look tame. Okay? And they're employees, not just voice actors. Not just voice actors. And if I had more than one source, I would tell you their names right now. But I don't yet. Once I do, I will. I know Ron Toye from his relationship with Monica Rial. Oh, yeah. In that conversation, Chris Sabat verbally disparaged Vic's Christian faith and speculated that Vic was actually gay based on the way he dressed. Now, what I've heard is that a lot of people at Funimation all thought Vic was actually gay and that Michelle Specht was a beard. In that conversation, Chris Sabat said that Vic was a pedophile who liked little girls. Despite these statements, he did not express concerns about risks to fans, which I thought was odd. During this conversation, there was no specific mention of Vic committing sexual harassment, sexual assault, inappropriate behavior with teenage fans, or that Vic posed a risk to fans at conventions. In approximately 2007, Vic began the practice of autographing artwork depicting anime characters for money at anime conventions. Other voice actors, Jamie Markey, Monica Rial, and Chris Sabat, and other Funimation employees initially described that practice as stealing from fans, using fans, or being an asshole. We all later adopted the same practices and currently follow those practices at conventions. This behavior by voice actors, including Markey, Rial, and Sabat, and other Funimation employees towards Vic's successful business tactics, demonstrates long-standing negative opinions about Vic. Insert clever name here says, today I learned that Rial has a credit on the new Yamato shows. Makes me sad. Luckily, it's not a very large part, so it won't easily remind me of this mess too much. In virtually all conversations I had with these voice actors when Vic was not present, disparaging remarks were made about Vic. Typical statements included he's a prima donna, he's a douche, he's a diva, his clothes are gay, plus comments of his purported infidelity, dislike of his conservative Christian beliefs, and personal attacks for his support of Donald Trump. All of these comments were made at one time or another by Monica Rial, Jamie Markey, Chris Sabat, and others. All of them, however, conceded his ability to do his job. Notice this is not hearsay, because this is not trying to prove that he is a prima donna, a douche, or diva, or that his clothes are gay. The only person who has gay clothes is Gohan. In December 2013 at Yamacon, I had lunch with Sean Schemmel and Sonny Strait. Sean Schemmel trying to persuade me to participate in a derogatory video about Vic, known as the Vince Mangina VA pedophile video. Video is to portray Vic as a pedophile. I refused because Vic is my friend and he is not a pedophile. Most of the time when I interacted with Sean Schemmel, he attacked Vic for pushing his Christian faith on fans at conventions and for Vic's purported sexual promiscuity. 2016, I was at Funimation and witnessed a producer at Funimation warn other Funimation employees of Vic's arrival and address Vic negatively with directors at Funimation. Notice what's going on here. Funimation doesn't like Vic. In approximately 2016-2017, a director employed at Funimation told me Vic would never get a directing job at Funimation because he was such a douche. This conversation happened at Funimation. I advised Vic of this conversation. Vic later told me he addressed this issue with Justin Cook, a member of Funimation management. Brian Dewig, some of it might be hearsay. Some of it might not. Remember, for hearsay to occur, it has to be you're providing what the other party said to prove the truth of the matter asserted. So it all depends what you're trying to prove. In my opinion, the voice actors and Funimation employees described above were overly preoccupied with disparaging Vic. Over the last decade, I was around Vic, the defendants, and other Funimation employees hundreds of times. Until January 2019, none of them directly accused him of sexual assault or sexual harassment in my presence. Until January 2019, negative discussions about Vic Mignogna, number 22. Hearsay at the end. No. Paragraph 22 isn't hearsay. It says, I refuse because Vic is my friend. He is not a pedophile. Okay. Until January 2019, negative discussions about Vic Mignogna in my presence were accompanied by laughter and derision, but never included concern for any alleged victims or named specific victims. Vic has always been a joke to a certain clique of influential Funimation employees for decades, but never a threat. Vic indicated to me that in 20 years of working at Funimation, he had never been warned of any of the complaints about his behavior. This is probably hearsay, although Vic says the same thing, so... Vic told me at a meeting with a producer at Funimation in approximately 2018, specifically to discuss any issues with his behavior. He stated there was no mention of this in this meeting of his having committed sexual harassment, sexual assault, or his having behaved in an inappropriate manner at Funimation or at any conventions. He stated that she told him that he was difficult to work with because he sometimes asked directors to do additional takes when the director was satisfied with his initial take. Again, this may be hearsay, or at least partially hearsay, but Vic says the same stuff in his affidavit, so not the biggest deal. Senior Funimation directors have described the work environment at Funimation to me as a den of poison, Kafka nightmare, and Orwellian slave factory. My experience working at Funimation was unpleasant. It is well known that if one falls out of favor with certain people, including Chris Sabat, or if one tries to do anything to change the working conditions, that person will not be rehired as a voice actor. I felt threatened with not being used as a voice actor in subsequent projects if I complained about the work environment. Funimation posted no employment policies regarding sexual harassment in the workplace or at conventions. They did not provide an employee handbook to me, Vic, Jamie, Markey, or Monica Rial. In the 20 years I worked at Funimation, it was very common for employees, voice actors, writers, producers, directors to hug and kiss each other at the Funimation offices. Raunchy and sexual comedy was extremely common. Sexual relationships between Funimation employees and voice actors was common. No one was ever disciplined or terminated for this conduct. Ouch. Ouch. When Sony... Oh, the Sean Schemmel video hearsay? No, it's... I mean, if they wanted to introduce that video, they would. When Sony acquired a majority interest in Funimation late 2017, a no-hugs policy was announced. Funimation employees and voice actors largely ignored this policy at first. The voice actors, including Jamie Markey and Monica Rial, and other Funimation employees talked and flirted freely at Funimation on a regular basis, though this did become less common after Sony instituted the no-hugs policy. When the Dragon Ball Kai was being recorded in 2007, I heard rumors that actresses had been recast at Funimation for refusing sexual advances by Funimation employees. I consider these rumors credible based on my experience working at Funimation from direct messages received from a former DBZ cast member. That could be hearsay as well. I also heard that actresses who participated in sex with Funimation / Okratron 5000 employees were cast in roles. Although, actually, this might not be here. This is a weird one. This may fall into an exception. Who participated in sex with Funimation / Okratron 5000 employees were cast in roles. I consider these rumors credible based on my experience working at Funimation. When the trailer for the Dragon Ball Z Super Broly movie was released, Vic did not voice the character of Broly, even though Vic was the only English actor who had ever voiced Broly up to that point. During this time frame, I sent a message to Chris Sabat, who responded that if this has anything to do with Vic, I will not talk about it. Look, this sure looks like they're trying to force him out early. Chris Sabat is the owner of Okratron, is a voice actor at Funimation. Did most of the casting and recording for the Dragon Ball Z properties, including the movie Dragon Ball Z Super Broly. Chris Sabat engaged in negotiations either directly or through Funimation for various projects with Toei, owner of Dragon Ball Z properties. Voice actors employed by Funimation generally consider Chris Sabat to be a de facto manager at Funimation, and they believe his approval and support is vitally beneficial to succeeding at Funimation in conventions, and the converse regarding his disapproval. Chris Sabat has more influence at Funimation and other studios, including Rooster Teeth and Toei, than Vic has ever had in the anime industry. I heard Chris Sabat and Sean Schimmel call Vic a pedophile numerous times before the allegations against Vic in January and February 2019 arose. I have observed Chris Sabat on multiple occasions talk in a derogatory manner about members of Funimation management and other people he calls friends. I was aware of no rumors or accusations that Vic committed rape, sexual assault, or sexual harassment until the accusations arose in January to February 2019 on the internet. I was aware of no rumors or statements that identified any purported victims of sexual assault or sexual harassment by Vic until January to February 2019 on the internet. He's laying out that this whole long-standing problem or open secrets about Vic weren't actually open secrets. Jamie Markey and I have been close friends and writing partners since 2009. She never mentioned the hair-pulling incident at Funimation that she alleges occurred between Vic and her. I believe Jamie Markey would have mentioned the hair-pulling incident if it had bothered her, since she is typically very outspoken. In addition, while Jamie Markey, Monica Rial, and other Funimation employees often expressed animosity towards Vic, and they never claimed he had sexually harassed or sexually assaulted anyone. Their animosity was primarily due to his personality, his sexual promiscuity, his Christian faith, and claims that he was difficult to work with. Party statements offered in opposition, so statements by Jamie and Monica that are detrimental to them, are exception. They're not hearsay. That's an exception. 2009, Jamie Markey and I worked with Chris Sabat on con.com, which is a website where voice actors could provide content for fans. Vic was a digital guest on that website and our primary marketing force because of his prolific convention schedule. In dozens of specific conversations about Vic, there was never any concern about pedophilia or other criminal sexual behavior. I've never seen Vic behave inappropriately with any fans of any age. Although voice actors and other Funimation employees called Vic a pedophile and accused him of liking underage girls for years, they never said these things to Vic and never expressed any concerns about working with Vic or doing panels at conventions with Vic until 2019, nor did they express concern for the convention fans until 2019. The sexual assault and sexual harassment allegations by the defendants and Funimation employees have seriously damaged Vic's career by inducing numerous conventions to cancel his appearances, by inducing producers and directors to not consider him or terminate him from projects. Jamie Markey, Monica Rial, myself, and almost all other voice actors have kissed and hugged hundreds of fans at conventions, no matter their age. I approached Jamie Markey and Monica Rial to attempt a settlement between Vic and defendants. Vic was not aware of my efforts. I was initially supportive of what Jamie and Monica were doing because my understanding was that they were, with inflated versions of their stories, attempting to help the alleged underage victims of rape and sexual assault by Vic, which they, along with Michelle Speck, directly told me existed. Who would otherwise be too afraid to speak out. I never considered Jamie and Monica to be victims of attempted rape or sexual assault by Vic. I drafted a proposed statement by Vic that included the phrase, "I am a sex addict," because my conversations with Jamie Markey and Monica Rial convinced me that Vic would have to admit some form of guilt for them to settle. Vic never saw or approved the phrase. I'm not educated about sex addiction, nor am I an expert about sex addiction. I talked with Vic about sex addiction and advised him to speak with his counselor about it. I now believe his sexual activity and infidelities are more closely associated with the common narcissism and ego from men in his position. I believe Vic is sincere in his efforts with his counselor to correct the abject moral failings associated with his sexual behavior. Now, Law Twitter makes a lot out about this section coming up here from Chuck. Like, oh, why would they include it? Why would they include it? Well, sometimes affiants really want to say something. Other times, it's not actually damaging to Vic. That Chuck Huber thinks that he has moral failings in his sexual behavior. That doesn't actually harm Vic. It doesn't make someone a sexual predator. Infidelity with a spouse, which he mentioned, with a fiance, which he mentioned earlier, that's a moral failing to many, many people. And so but that is also not illegal. That's not even a problem for, you know, for anyone else's concern. It's a problem for the relationship. It's not a problem outside of the relationship. That's not a big deal that Chuck has problems with Vic's sexual behavior. He doesn't say, he's been very clear that that's not assault or harassment or abuse that he's engaging in. My settlement efforts were an attempt to help my friend Vic, who is suffering tremendously, to protect Jamie and Monica from the difficulty of a lawsuit and heal the anime community, which has been seriously divided by the allegations against Vic. During my settlement efforts, Todd Habercorn told me that Chris Sabat, Ron Toye, and Sean Schemmel told him he was in danger of never working at Funimation again because Habercorn retained the same law firm as Vic. See attached email. But I don't think there actually is an attached email. I also feared that my 20-year voice acting career at Funimation and personal reputation would be damaged by retaliation for my association with Vic. I contacted Gen Fukunaga, the then CEO of Funimation, to discuss my concerns with Chris Sabat's gaslighting of Sean Schemmel, damaging use of his authority toward actors and his attempts to destroy my career. In early March 2019, who met with me and advised that Vic would lose and have to pay via something he had learned about called an anti-slap motion. He also, in response to my specific concerns about Chris Sabat, said that he had been friends with Chris Sabat for 17 years and he did not believe me. This meeting occurred on March 5th at 2:30 p.m. in Gen's office, approximately a month to a month and a half prior to Vic filing the current pending lawsuit. I and my wife fear direct, planned, and specific retaliation from Chris Sabat. I was loyal to him in response to this affidavit that will be damaging to my reputation and career. So guys, I just want to say, make sure you support Chuck. This is very, very, like, this actually is stunning and brave that he did this affidavit. So, gaslighting. What is gaslighting? Gaslighting is an act that you do to someone else to make them think that they are crazy or that something is a certain way. So, for example, let's say you book a hotel room for someone, okay? And then you book the hotel room, you go to check in, and you check in for that person. You get yourself an extra key made, okay? And then you go to that hotel room while the other person is out. So like they come, you're like, "Oh, I checked you in, buddy. Here you go." You give them the keys, but you keep your extra. And then they go, to their hotel room, and then they leave. And then you go in and move their stuff around. And then they come back and they say, "Oh, that's something happened to my stuff." And you're like, "Well, you got to be crazy." Or maybe it was the housekeeper or something. I mean, silly. Then when they leave again, you go do it again. And they come back and they start having, they start stressing out over this. That's gaslighting. It's actually, like, it can be funny to an extent. It can also be really, really horrible, depending on how far you take it. So, all right. I've known Vic for many years. I do not believe he has ever sexually approached anyone past the point of them telling him no. I believe Vic utilized his position of privilege in shameful ways in attempts to obtain sex. So again, Law Twitter is making a big deal out of this. Popular person utilizes popularity to gain sex is just rock and roll. That's all it is, right? Like it's not even rock and roll. It's high school. It's being captain of the football team. It's literally anything. It's using some amount of status to gain sexual or to obtain sex, right? That's a position of privilege in shameful ways and attempts to obtain sex. So they're making it out like this somehow sinks the case. I mean, come on. First of all, this would be viewed in a light most favorable to Vic. Obviously, because we're at TCPA. Second of all, it does not say Vic sexually assaulted one, something that Chuck has said over and over did not occur. So, in my experiences with Vic, if someone acted like they did not want to be hugged or kissed, he stopped immediately. Funimation employees, including Marky, Rial, and Michelle Specht, have advised me more than once since February 2019 that criminal charges are coming against Vic, something that Slaytosh will repeat, by the way. In response, I encouraged them to help these alleged underage victims of rape and sexual assault to come forward. When asked to provide specifics to these allegations, they couldn't or refused to do so. Yeah, of course they did. You know what's interesting? I'm pretty sure there's a direct message from Jamie Markey to someone saying that they knew that there wouldn't be criminal allegations. Oh, that's bad, isn't it? That's unfortunate, isn't it? That's knowledge of the falsity. Jamie Markey, did you happen to send a direct message to someone saying that you know that no criminal charges are coming and you really hoped that there was an underage victim because it'd be beyond the statute of limitations otherwise? Does that sound like criminal charges are coming to you, Jamie Markey? Or does that sound like we know criminal charges aren't coming? I'm pretty sure I've got that DM somewhere. Have you guys seen that DM? I mean, I don't know if it truly exists. Maybe it does. Hold on. I mean, let's see. Here we go. Hold on, is this it? I'm trying to find it. Where is it? I'm having trouble finding it right now. Of course I have trouble finding it, now when I actually want it. But you'll just have to take my word for it, I guess. I'll find it for tomorrow. I don't want to sit here looking this whole time. Where is it? Now it's just pissing me off. Anyway. Well, dang, sorry. Okay, well, it definitely exists. I think you guys have probably seen that DM, but I've got it somewhere. Okay. You did send. I know. I was sent it by. Well, like I said, I'll find it for tomorrow. Show it on stream, but that kind of looks like knowledge of the falsity to me. When you say no nothing's coming, check DMs. Well, I'm in my DMs, but why am I'm not going to sit here and do this. Terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Okay. Yeah. I know I need to. Google image for Jamie Markey hopes underage victim comes forward. See, that's what I'm talking about. You guys have actually seen this. But let's pull it up anyway. There it is. That's it. In theory, yes. Here we go. Thank you for that suggestion, by the way. Theory, yes, but in Texas, it's just been too long. We can only hope someone comes forward that was either a minor when this happened. Statutes are very different then. And or someone comes forward within the 2-year statute, or someone comes forward in a different state with different statutes. Kind of seems like maybe they knew. At least for the purposes of TCPA. So anyway, that was a lot of work for that very short statement. Okay, when I was told about the contents of the confidential information investigation undertaken by Tammy Denbo on behalf of Funimation, my opinion was that Funimation, Jamie Markey, and Monica Rial acted together with encouragement from Chris Sabat and Sean Schemmel to destroy Vic's career and life. Ouch. I believe that the purported incidents investigated by Tammy Denbo occurred off Funimation property and not at Funimation events. The one incident that purportedly occurred on Funimation property occurred prior to Sony's acquisition of Funimation. Thus, the no-hugs policy from Sony was not in effect, i.e. there were no signs about the policy hung on the around the Funimation office. I do not believe that Vic kissed Sarah Bachmeier without her consent. I have never heard rumors of Vic behaving sexually inappropriate at Funimation. Funimation has supported the accusations made by defendants that Vic is a sexual predator, pedophile, and rapist by supporting the accusations directly with their own public statements. I, as a member of the public, viewed the tweets made on February 11th by Funimation as supporting the accusations against Vic and asserting Vic was fired for sexual harassment and threats. Of course you did, Chuck. Everybody did. Appears to me that Toye, Rial, and Markey have been speaking with Funimation's tacit or overt consent in tweets that have been made by them since January 2019. So there you go. Now, let's talk about the problems of this affidavit. Right here. This is a problem with this affidavit. So this is notarized by Ty Beard. Not recommended. Not recommended to notarize the document. The main reason you don't notarize the document is because you don't want to be a witness that can be called to answer questions about the document. You just don't want to. You don't want to have to be a witness to anything. So, I would not notarize my own document. I believe that all of these affidavits have been scrapped and been replaced in the new filing, but I don't have those things yet. The new filing that I have doesn't have the exhibits attached to it, so we'll have to wait till tomorrow when they actually hit the filing system to see the exhibits. So just so you know, that's a problem with all three. Let's see, you got Chuck's, Vic's, and Slaytosh's affidavits were all notarized by Ty, and my understanding is that those have probably all been scrapped because you mainly don't want to be a witness to the document as you know, as counsel. Brian Dewig says Cabria Cousins says, hey Nick, I was wondering if there's anything that you can reveal right now that gives more weight to some of the allegations stated by Chuck, specifically regarding Sabat. I don't have anything concrete right now, and this is very dangerous ground to talk about. Very dangerous ground to talk about. Many of you have seen a DM floating around. I've gotten it from like 27 different people, the same DMs. I can't confirm those DMs at this point in time. So if I could, I would do it in a heartbeat, but I can't confirm that. So you'll have to just hold on. You'll have to hold on. Ryan Stewart says, we can only hope a child was molested to support our weak allegations. Absolutely. Let's see. There are other allegations about this that somehow tie notarizing this amounts to perjury. I think T. Greg even accused him of forging Slaytosh's signature or something like that. That's all ridiculous. That's all very, very silly. If there's a defect in notarization, let's talk about this real quick. If there's a defect in notarization, and I don't know if there was or not, but that's what's being asserted on Twitter. So if there's a defect in notarization, the remedy actually goes to the signing party. That's the remedy for the defect, because they would be the ones who said, actually, no, I'm not bound by that document. That's not me. That's not my signature. And so that's how that works out. Now, so in this type of case where if someone has a problem with the document and they're the opposing party, they object to the document and it's a defect in form. Now, a defect in form, the remedy is to remedy the defect in form. So getting proper notarization or withdrawing the document or something like that would be a remedy for it. So, but any idea that this is going to be perjury or something, even if it is defective, and again, you don't want to notarize your own documents because you don't want to be the witness, regardless of defect. But if they are defective, as is asserted on Twitter, then the remedy is just to produce a new affidavit, which is not a big deal. So next we have the unsworn declaration of Erica Mccord. Unsworn declarations are fine. They're just fine, especially at the TCPA stage. They're valid testimony in Texas. Especially at the initial stages of the hearing. They can always cross-examine Erica Mccord or demand written discovery from her or something like that. Obviously, bringing her to the States would be troublesome. She's in Japan, it's my understanding. So there would have to be some sort of other way to get the information. But the unsworn declaration should suffice for these purposes. I'm not going to go through this. She basically just refutes Faisal Ahmad's affidavit straight out. She's also done an interview on Hero Hayes' channel and Flashes or someone else's channel. I don't remember who else, but so you've got more information there if you want to look into it. And then she's got the affidavit of Faisal. All right, this is the last one I want to go through. Well, there's Vix also. This show's getting long, but we're going to stick with it. Hey, Erica. Hi, being in the chat. Affidavit of Chris Slaytosh. On this day, Chris Slaytosh, personally known to me, appeared before me and being sworn according to law on his oath, deposed and said as follows. Let's see. I like the Spike Man says, sorry we couldn't connect in Minnesota last week. Yeah, me too, man. Still want to send a bottle to you, Glenn Levet 12. Work, or should I grab something out of left field? Whichever you want to send, buddy. Also going to send 2 giant fireballs from the gambling winnings. Sorry, not sorry, Indians. Oh. Man, I really wish we could have met up. I'm so... getting ready for family camp was such a mess. Just don't have time. Feel bad. Big Fee says, stuck at home waiting for Dorian to hit. No liquor stores are open, so I'm drinking my last Victory Golden Monkey whilst listening to the show. Do you like any beer? Are you strictly a whiskey bourbon connoisseur? Whiskey and bourbon, I really have not found any beers that I like. I had a Dos Equis the other day, and as long as it was cold, it was good. But I wouldn't ever choose it. I like mead better than beer. It's the hops, man. It's the hops. Okay, so here's Chris Slaytosh. My name is Chris Slaytosh. I live in Ector County, Texas. I'm over the age of 18. I and my company, Silverfire, are the owners of Kamehacon. The agreement attached as Exhibit A was a binding contract between Silverfire and Joseph Victor Mignana, providing for his appearance at Kamehacon on April 12th to 14th. Agreement was executed in July of 2018. Listed date for Kamehacon is incorrect in this agreement. It should have been April 12th to 14th, 2019, but both parties understood. I believe it's listed as 2018. But KamehamehaCon in 2018 also didn't happen on April 12th to 14th, so it was pretty obvious. Monica Rial was also scheduled to appear at KamehamehaCon on April 12th to 14th, 2019. From February 2019 through April 11th, 2019, I had several conversations with Ronald Toye and Rial by telephone and numerous text message conversations with Toye. Am I still lying about that one, Ron? Am I still lying about that one, Ron? Exhibit B is a true and correct copy, accurate copy of the text messages exchanged between us. You guys have seen those texts. In these conversations, Toye repeatedly asserted that Vic was a sexual predator and that criminal charges would soon be filed against Vic. Notice the common theme here. Toye urged me repeatedly to terminate Vic's appearance. I told him that this would breach the contract with Vic. He urged me to do it anyway, emphasizing that criminal charges would be filed before April 12th to 14th, 2019. In these conversations, Toye also encouraged me not to do business with Vic in the future. I participated in a telephone conversation with Rial in which she repeatedly asserted that Vic was a sexual predator and that criminal charges would soon be filed against him. Oh no, that sounds like the same thing with Toye. She also implied, and I inferred, that she would convince numerous other voice actors to cancel their appearances at KamehamehaCon. I heard Toye in the background talking to her, and she periodically responded in agreement with him. Termination of multiple appearances at the last minute would have severely threatened the profitability of KamehamehaCon. Her threat turned out to be credible, since a number of the voice actors she claimed to have influence over ultimately did cancel their appearances. And by the way, this is not hearsay, because these are party statements. Statements made by Monica and Ron. Rial and Toye were aware that a contract had been executed between Silverfire and Vic because I informed both of them of that fact, and they repeatedly urged me to have Silverfire breach the contract. Toye also clearly implied that his company would withdraw a promised sponsorship worth approximately $25,000 if Silverfire did not breach its contract with Vic. The sponsorship ultimately did not materialize. Silverfire did breach its contract with Vic. Oh no! This was the problem, right? This was the problem in Vanderlinden versus Kahn, or Kahn versus Vanderlinden, was that they didn't have an affidavit from the breaching party saying why they breached it. Well, look what they have here. They've got an affidavit from the breaching party admitting to the breach and why. After being threatened with litigation from Vic's counsel, and after long negotiations and legal expenses, Silverfire agreed that Vic could attend KamehamehaCon under numerous restrictions and that were not part of the original agreement and that were not imposed on other guests, including Vic paying for additional security, not participating in panel discussions, signing in a different location from other guests, etc. All material changes to the contract. As a result of this compromise, a number of the voice actors we all mentioned canceled their appearances. I mean, and nothing of value was lost, but so what? In summary, Rial and Toye individually and jointly told me that Vic was a sexual predator who would be criminally charged before KamehamehaCon, and they urged me to breach the contract with Vic. They threatened to lead a boycott of KamehamehaCon. They threatened to withdraw significant sponsorship money that had been promised unless Silverfire breached its contract with Vic. Finally, they urged me to never do business with Vic in the future. Done. 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 If that affidavit doesn't get past TCPA, what else can you say? If that doesn't get past TCPA, then the law's broken, period. Monica and Ron, I mean, they knew that they did this. They denied it in public when I mentioned it, but they knew they did this. They knew it. What's their defense going to be? They argue qualified immunity. No, sorry. That's not a privileged communication either. They're done. They're done. That's, by the way, that's defamation. They called him a sexual predator, and they said he would be criminally charged. That's defamation per se. TI with business, or TI with contract, told him of a specific contract, that they knew about the contract, they induced him to breach the contract, and that contract was breached. TI with prospective business relations, they urged him to not do business with Vic in the future, knowing that business would be likely to be conducted in the future, and there's an underlying two towards TI with contract and defamation, which would be the TI with business prospects. And you've got civil conspiracy. You've got both of them acting on the phone at the same time. Ron in the background agreeing. You've got them communicating in, in coordinated. You got coordination. They're done. They're done. Oh, and remember, their argument is that the sexual activity is a matter of public concern. That the danger, right? The sexual allegations of sexual misconduct are a matter of public concern, which means they don't get truth as an affirmative defense. Period. They just don't. Kahn versus Vanderlinden nails them on this. So, there you go. Again, Ty has notarized this. My understanding is that they're probably going to get that replaced because Ty doesn't need to be a witness to this document. Here's a Slaytosh exhibit. This just has Vic's contract. I'm not going to go through that. You've seen that contract. I've done it on a stream. Not that one, because the one I have was not filled out. But you've seen it. Here's Stan Dolan. You guys have seen the Stan Dolan stuff. Dark Eternal 6 says they're not going to jail, but they are going to be sleeping on futons. Here we go. Here's the affidavit of Vic. This is the last... this is the last affidavit, and then we'll go to the new document. I know, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to string you on. I just want to make sure and get this stuff out there. My name is Victor Mignana, and I live in Tarrant County, Texas. I'm over the age of 18, competent to make this affidavit. I've never sexually assaulted or sexually harassed anyone or attempted to do so. Period. I've never physically assaulted any woman or attempted to do so. He should really change it to toyed any woman. I've never forced or attempted to force anyone to kiss me, hug me, or engage in any sexual activities. Period. What did we learn from Kahn versus Vanderlinden? Direct. This is clear and specific evidence of the falsity of the allegations. Allegations is that he's a sexual predator, he's a sexual assaulter, that he's a sexual harasser. These are clear and specific refutations of it. I did not ever do this. Ever. I have never fondled, kissed without consent, or otherwise inappropriately had contact with underage people or adults. I've never inappropriately touched, rubbed, stroked, struck any female fans, guests, staff, or acquaintances. I've never had sexual contact with anyone without their consent. I've never attempted to sexually assault, harass, touch inappropriately, or have any non-consensual contact with Monica Rial or Jamie Markey. I have read Jamie Markey's July 18th affidavit attached as Exhibit A to her motion to dismiss. I, A, never grabbed her hair and pulled it down. B, never whispered sexually suggested or violent statements to her. And C, never pressed my lips to her ears as she claims in the affidavit. Clear and specific denials of fact assertions. Done. Tammy Denbo contacted me on January 25th. She stated that she was an executive with Sony and advised me she wanted to interview me by phone about several allegations that had been reported against me. We discussed the 3 allegations below. An accusation that at an anime convention, I ate a jelly bean thrown at me by Monica Rial in a sexually suggestive manner. I did not eat the jelly bean in a sexually suggestive manner. I made no sexually suggestive comments, and no one, including Monica Rial, appeared to interpret the action and comments as being sexual in nature. I told this to Tammy Denbo. Uh-oh. Only Vic and Tammy know what was said on the phone, and all of the evidence goes in favor of Vic. An accusation that I invited 2 adult females who had flirted with me numerous times over the previous year to my hotel room at an anime convention, then sexually harassed or assaulted them. I did not sexually harass or assault them. I expressed romantic interest in them. They declined and left the room. I did not harass, intimidate, or pressure them in any way. I told this to Tammy Denbo. An accusation that I kissed a Funimation Productions LLC employee, Sarah Bachmeyer, without her consent in her office. I did share a single consensual kiss with her. There was no coercion or lack of consent. I told this to Tammy Denbo. Immediately after this conversation, I emailed Tammy Denbo about the investigation. The emails attached as Exhibit A are true and correct versions of the emails we exchanged. Before the consensual kiss in her office at Funimation, Sarah Bachmeyer and I had corresponded via text, phone calls, and in person for at least a year or more. I regularly stopped by her office while in the studio recording just to say hi. She appeared to welcome my interest in her and appeared to be interested in me. Eventually asked to kiss her, and she agreed. We only kissed that one time. In the years since the kiss, she has never expressed any outrage or anger to me. Nor did she report it, by the way. Tammy Denbo did not mention or ask me about any other incidents. In particular, she did not mention or ask about the purported attempted sexual assault in 2007 against Monica Rial, alleged by Monica Rial in her affidavit, nor did she mention any of the alleged hair-pulling incidents asserted by Monica Rial and Jamie Markey. I was assured by Tammy Denbo that the investigation and its results would be kept confidential. That happened, right? Right, Tammy? They were kept confidential, weren't they? Dark Eternal 6 says, Hitchens razor, facts without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. I was informed by telephone on Saturday, January 26th, that I had been terminated by Funimation. By mid-January 2019, I had valid contracts with dozens of conventions to appear as a guest in 2019. At least a dozen canceled my appearance by the time I filed this lawsuit, and they are listed in my amended petition. Emerald City Comic Con, Fan Expo Toronto, Fan Expo Orlando, aka MegaCon, and Planet Comic Con also canceled my appearances despite having contracts with me to appear. I have appeared at a number of conventions in 2019. They're listed below along with the amounts I earned at each. All amounts rounded down to the nearest $1,000. So there you go. There are those amounts. 5 of the conventions that canceled me were as large or larger than Anime Matsuri. These were Emerald City, Florida SuperCon, Fan Expo Toronto, Fan Expo Orlando, and Planet Comic Con. They're establishing damages by affidavit here. Specific damages. It is reasonable to expect that I would have earned similar amounts at each of these conventions that I earned at Anime Matsuri, but I would have earned a minimum of $20,000 per convention because they were all larger in attendance than Matsuri. I would have expected to earn at least $5,000 at each of the smaller conventions that canceled my appearances, extrapolating from similar size conventions that I did attend, i.e. the conventions listed in the previous paragraph other than Matsuri. The owners or managers of the convention, so they acted conservatively. For the larger cons, 20 grand, smaller cons, 5, even though many of the smaller cons, yes, 13,000, 5,000, 11,000, 5,000, 5,000, 12,000, 14,000, 12,000, 17,000. Owners or managers of the conventions that canceled me all stated that the cancellation was due to allegations of sexual assault being made by defendants. Several also mentioned the Funimation investigation as motivating the cancellation. I've never been canceled at a convention before 2019. I have no memory of anyone named Robin Michelle Blankenship or Robin Michelle Blankenship McConnell, and no memory of any of the events she described in her affidavit that was attached to Rial and Toye's motion to dismiss. I've read the affidavit of Kara Edwards attached to Rial and Toye's motion to dismiss. I did not commit any of the improper acts she claims I did in the affidavit, such as knocking on her door repeatedly. That's a fact statement. Hugging for an uncomfortably long time. Saying things like, open the door, nobody has to know, fact statement. Or, you know you want this, fact statement. And only those two know the truth. I did not sexually assault her. I did not attempt to sexually assault her, and I never engaged in any contact without her consent. I've read the affidavit of Lion Cunt attached to Rial and Toye's motion to dismiss. I deny all improper conduct she claims I engaged in, including the specific allegations in paragraphs 3 to 9. I've read the affidavit of Faisal Ahmed attached to Rial and Toye's motion to dismiss. I deny all improper conduct he claims I engaged in, including being overly friendly with female cosplayers, behaving inappropriately with Aaron Mccord, Kelly Loftus, or Leah Hamilton. I've read the affidavit of Mary Reese attached to Rial and Toye's motion to dismiss. I deny all improper conduct she claims I engaged in, including manipulating and tricking young girls, being demanding, being a bully, being intentionally rude to her, grabbing Kara Edwards' hair and forcefully pulling it back, demanding that Kara Edwards' tables be moved, etc. Now, of course, he's denying all this stuff, but this is a weird thing. These aren't part of the lawsuit. Because the defendants didn't mention any of this until they just added a bunch of affidavits to try and make Vic look bad. But none of these things are relevant to their complaints or to their statements that they made. Their defamatory statements don't involve any of this. This all came out later. I've read the affidavit of Whitney Falba attached to Rial and Toye's motion to dismiss. I deny all improper conduct she claims I engaged in, including being disrespectful to staff, inappropriately touching females, having underage female fans in my hotel room, etc. I've read the affidavit of Nesha Perry attached to Rial and Toye's motion to dismiss. I deny all improper conduct she claims I engaged in, including stroking anyone's leg without permission, grabbing anyone's hair and pulling it back while whispering into their ear. Notice that story is common, isn't it? I've read the affidavit of Emmett Plant attached to Rial and Toye's motion to dismiss. He should open with, first, I have no idea who this moron is, and neither does anybody else. I deny all improper conduct he claims I engaged in, including stroking anyone's leg, grabbing anyone's hair, and pulling it back while whispering into their ear. Read the affidavits of Adam Sheehan attached to Rial and Toye's motion. I deny all improper conduct he claims I engaged in, including having any predatory tendencies, kissing, touching, or stroking female fans inappropriately. Read the affidavit of Kelly Loftus. I deny that I ever hit on her. I also deny all improper conduct she claims I engaged in, including hugging, touching, or kissing her without her consent or doing so inappropriately. John Prager, deny all improper conduct he claims I engaged in, including stalking or behaving inappropriately with Mari Ejima, being a sexual predator, touching women inappropriately or without their consent. Affidavits of the Yost twins. I deny that I touched either of them without consent or in any inappropriate way. I did invite them to my room after they had flirted with me numerous times over the previous year, but when they made their lack of interest clear, I bid them goodbye and they left freely and peacefully. I did not ask them to do a striptease show for me. I did not try to kiss either of them. I did not later express a desire to kiss them, nor did I ever become angry with them. They never cried, teared up, or acted afraid in my presence. As a result of the stress and anguish caused by defendants, I have been diagnosed with depression and been prescribed Zoloft. I've also been diagnosed with high blood pressure and have been prescribed Losartan for that condition. These medications were prescribed after the defamatory assertions by defendants. Never asked my fans to harass, attack, or mistreat anyone. In late 2017, I walked into Colleen Klinkenbeard's office and asked her why I was not cast more often. At the time, I was directing Junie Tyson. She told me that A, they did not like casting people who weren't local, and B, some directors thought I was difficult because I occasionally requested additional takes, even though the director was satisfied. Said there were no other concerns about my conduct and did not mention any reports of inappropriate conduct. I told Chuck Huber of this meeting. Till January 25th, communication with Tammy Denbo. I had never been reprimanded or questioned for any appropriate conduct of any time. Vic Mignogna. Then he has these emails. I'm not going to go through them. You guys can go through them. Let's get to that other document. Most of the rest of this is deposition, as you can see. Just pages and pages of deposition. And then it gets to Ron's tweets. So there's like 300 pages of tweets and like 600 pages of deposition. But let's get to this. Yes, shill the GoFundMe. Shill the GoFundMe. The Big Fee says, what are the odds that is the same fly that was bothering you during your stream last week? Jeff Goldblum must have survived on the crumbs from your snack tray. What is the next convention that you are planning to attend? HawaiiCon in September. Lady Rackets and I will be at HawaiiCon. Come join us. Okay, what are we doing? GoFundMe. See, I have not checked the GoFundMe. All right, here it is. $241,750 on the GoFundMe. What do we got? Thank you, Zach Hansen, Ravi Kutan, Moses Clark, and the couple anonymous donations that are in there. Still waiting for a confirmation on the prints that I want to send out to people as thank you gifts. I'm trying to get some either written permission or express instructions on how to do that without violating their terms, without violating their policies. So there you go. There's the GoFundMe. We'll be checking this. I'm not really shilling this too hard. I want to get through TCPA. I want to get through that. And then, I mean, guys, if he wins TCPA, I be prepared for the shillage. Be prepared for the shillage. Okay, real quick. Let me do this. This is my first sponsor of the show. I've done a couple of their spots. It's Ridge Wallet. I emptied it so you can see how thin it is. Is ridgewallet.com. I've got a thing. What am I doing? I have a thing for this. And where is it? Ridge.com/for the fans to get a Ridge wallet. They have other stuff. They have backpacks with a battery in them. The battery, you can charge your phone like twice on a single charge. It has USB-C, it has lightning, it has all of the different outputs and stuff. It's great. I really enjoy it. The backpack is compact, and it keeps things nice and padded and everything. I carry, actually, no joke, I carry my Warhammer books that I don't want dinged up in that backpack. It's very nice. So here is the Ridge wallet. I was going to show you how to put stuff in it. That's why I got yeah. I've got just a couple cards here. Oh, this is my attorney registration card with my old office. Doxed my old office. Yeah, so there you go. Anyway, so to put a card in, this is really, really tough. You go like this, and you just put it in there. And then put another card in. You just like, you know, do it again. Do it again. And take them out, pressing this little notch, and then you can just grab them. Simple. That's it. I like these guys. Everybody who's talked to me about them says that they're great. I love mine. I carry it all the time. It's the primary wallet that I use now. The one with my kid's picture on it. Who even remembers that? Who even remembers that? But this one I have all the time. It's great. So there you go. There's the ridge.com/for-the-fans. If you're interested in getting one, that gets you a discount, like 10% or something, which is a little bit significant. They're not the cheapest wallets, but they're well made. They hold up. They're durable. They're metal. You can get the money strap like I have. A broke right now. I'm not broke. You know, I'm not gonna like e-beg. I'm just saying I'm out of cash because I was just at a place that took all my cash. You can get that, or you can get a money clip. If you don't like the strap, you can just get a clip, and you can actually take them apart. You can have both of them on there if you want. But yeah, go check it out. They also sell knives that look really nice, but I don't have one. So ridge.com/for-the-fans. First official sponsor of the show. This is the 4th spot we've done for them, I think, so I've got one more left. But thank you to Ridge. They've been great. And I know you guys have bought several of them. So pretty cool. I hope you enjoy them. And if you do, you know, share it because it's a good product and it supports guys like me, which I'm a little bit of a hot topic. Or not hot topic. What do you call it? A dangerous commodity or whatever. So I appreciate that they supported my show. They reached out to me. I didn't reach out to them. I was like, really? Oh, well, we could talk about it. Yeah, so they're great. All right, guys, let's move on. Let's get back to it because it's really late. It's really late. This is probably why no one sponsors you. You're terrible at this. Why am I terrible? That was a good ad. That was a good ad. It's honest. I don't know. What do you want me to do? Be like ridgewallet.com. Oh, God. Okay. A shock jock. That's what I should have said. A shock jock. I'm not going to do Soye's DMs. I've said it a million times. Yeah, they do also have phone cases. Couldn't you conceivably have that picture of your family etched into the wallet? You could, and I'll tell them that they should do that. How's that? Okay. Plaintiff's second amended petition. This was filed tonight, and it was filed at like 10 p.m., maybe 9 something, just a little bit before the show. So nobody has seen this. Law Twitter's hot takes, the hottest of takes from the deadest of brains, have not beplagued this document yet. We get to look at it all on our own. Just me and you. Me and you. Where do people in the U.S. keep their change? In the homeless. That's a joke. That was mean. I hate change. I leave it in the little tray. You give me 97 cents, you're getting 97 cents in your stupid tray. Okay. So plaintiff's second amended petition. Now, let's get the first questions out of the way. Can they amend their petition again? Yes. Yep, they can. And here's a great thing. The amended petition is evidence. It's in all of the TCPA cases that the live petition is evidence. So, you know, that's the allegations in the petition are evidence. They can be clear and specific. Like I said, there are attachments to this document, I believe, but they're not here yet. I don't have them yet. I just have this one. So I think they'll probably pop up tomorrow when the full filing goes through. Okay. Discovery Control Plan. Pursuant to Texas Rules of Civil Procedure, Level 2 Discovery Control Plan. Oh, by the way, Monica and Ron still haven't complied with Discovery. I know you stayed Discovery, but your lack of compliance predates the Discovery stay. I wonder if that's going to get brought up. Liz Reptile says, hey, Nick, just got here. You should tell the chat about how your Discord server is now apparently Doc Central, how they think they are spying. My goodness, trolling them was funny, all because Kiwi Farms exists. Oh, yeah, all of the doxing. Everybody, we dox the president. We dox the Pope. The Pope's in the Vatican sometimes, by the way. Dox everybody. Dox me all the time. Dox each other. We get bored. We just dox ourselves over and over. So if you need to be part of the doxing server, you know, just hop onto Patreon or New Project 2. Drop that $5 a month, and you too can participate in all of the doxing that ever has occurred on the earth. Okay. Vic is an individual residing in Tarrant County, Texas. Defendant Funimation Productions, Delaware LLC, blah, blah, blah. Jamie Markey, Monica Rial, Ronald Toye. Jurisdiction and venue. Look at all these attorneys listed. They're still there, by the way. Casey and Andrea are not dead, even though they are letting a walking corpse from Wick Phillips named J. Sean Lemoine. I hear he does this. A lot between talking. I think it's the West Nile. So there you go. Jurisdiction and venue, monetary relief over $1 million, not exceeding $5 million. Court has jurisdiction, venue is proper. Facts. General background. Let's see how couldn't it be said that this amendment isn't timely like the defendant's amendments? No, this is an amended petition. This is their the petition actually bringing suit. And so saying it is untimely, no, they can't do that. As long as there are no major changes to the causes of action. They can't withdraw a cause of action. And they at this point, adding a cause of action to a petition would allow them an extension on the TCPA. But if the cause of action are the same and all they do are amend the pleadings with new evidence that they've received, what's the... No, they can't argue that they're untimely. This is different. The Rule 11 agreement applied to the motions to strike and to the TCPA response if they wanted to file one. Neither of those are required filings, by the way. Although the motion to strike is in there, and I'll get back into that tomorrow, probably, if we have time. And that was filed timely. I mean, it was 40 minutes late due to a technical error, but they have records of the technical error, so that's not going to be a big deal. Actually, no. In fact, let them bring that to court. I lied. They don't have records of the technical error, and you should definitely challenge their filing in court. I'm sure Judge Chupp wants to hear an argument about that and arguing about a tech error. I'm sure that will be productive for you. And here's the thing. Even if they did strike those filings, they're not necessary. They're not required filings. They can just go into the hearing and raise all of the objections and make all of the arguments at the hearing. They don't need the filings at all, although those filings are there. They're there. So this is different, though. This is the petition, and you can amend the petition. You can actually amend the petition. In Texas, when there's no scheduling order for a trial, you can amend the petition pretty much indefinitely. It's really up to a certain period of time before the trial is scheduled to start, where the amended petition stuff stops. But there's no prejudice to the defendants. As long as there's no new causes of action, there's no surprise. There's nothing they haven't already had to address. Vic would just be restating, maybe cleaning up language, adding in any evidence, stuff like that. What happened to calling Lemoine the Fuhrer exclusively? I just forgot. That's it. Okay. So Vic is a voice actor who's performed the voices of animated characters for over 22 years, mainly in anime productions. Vic does not physically appear in these productions. Only his voice is used for the English dubbing or revoicing of the Japanese voice actors. Monica and Jamie are also voice actors. Both have worked for Funimation. Ronald is Monica's fiance. Funimation primarily dubs Japanese anime properties into English for distribution within the United States and provides streaming access subscription services to those properties via their website. In June 2017, Funimation contracted with Vic to provide the voice for dubbed anime properties it was distributing within the US. For example, in 2018, Vic was cast as the English voice for Broly, lead character in the fantasy martial arts film Dragon Ball Super Broly. The cast also included Monica. Dragon Ball Super Broly was released in the US on January 16, 2019. Was an instant financial success for Funimation, earning $7 million on its first day and $24 million within the first 5 days of its premiere. In addition to his voice work, Vic attends fan conventions, approximately 35 to 40 per year. He earns a sizable income from appearance fees guaranteed by contract with the convention producers and from signing autographs. I'm reading fast because we've read this, right? Taking photos with fans and appearing on guest panels. By January 16th, 2019, he already had accepted invitations with dozens of conventions for appearances in 2019. On January 16th, 2019, the day Dragon Ball Super Broly released in the US, Monica liked and retweeted the tweet of someone with the Twitter handle Hanleia that accused Vic of being a homophobic, rude asshole who's been creepy to underage female fans for over 10 years. The next day, Monica liked and retweeted 2 tweets by Kaylin Saucedo, who posts under the names Fatface, that accused Vic of great volumes of sexual misconduct, urged Funimation to reconsider hiring Vic Mignogna as a voice actor in the future, and initiated the hashtag #KickVic. The repeated attention that Monica, Jamie, and even Funimation's agents, employees, or business partners gave Hanleia and Mars Girls accusations caused their tweets to go viral. About the same time, one or more defendants began actively defaming Vic directly to anime conventions, speaking of investigations and Vic being fired. Barely a week later, Tammy Denbo, a Sony executive, informed Vic she was investigating 3 allegations of sexual harassment against him. One, Monica alleged to have occurred 6 years prior at a convention, not at any Funimation or Sony facility or event. When, after she wrote her name on a jelly bean and gave it to him, Vic ate the jelly bean and joked that he ate Monica. Vic denied any sexual suggestion. He was joking in response to a fan's asking if he could be poisoned by the ink. Monica also alleged inappropriate conduct between Vic and 2 fans, not Funimation or Sony employees, at a convention 3 years prior. Again, not at any Funimation or Sony facility or event. Vic emphatically denied any appropriate conduct. The third allegation involved a single consensual kiss between Vic and a Funimation employee who was Vic's friend. Denbo telling Vic that her investigation was a confidential matter did not stop Jamie, Monica, Ronald, or other Funimation employees, including Samantha Inu Heart Attack, or business partners from urging anime conventions and other studios to terminate their contracts with Vic, telling some that Funimation was conducting an investigation into allegations that Vic was a sexual predator, or the charges were being filed against Vic and he would soon be arrested, or tweeting details about the investigation. For example, Ronald would tweet on February 2nd, 2019 that Vic, quote, is a predator based on his, quote, insider knowledge about Sony's investigation. Oh no. Oh no. PGN White Knight says, you're as good at advertising as Trump is at censoring himself. Well, he's pretty good at that. Think of that. Maybe Trump's really good at it, and this is the censored version. Imagine how based and red-pilled Trump is without the censor. The fallout from the defendant's actions was swift. On January 18th, 2019, the Phoenix Fan Fusion Convention canceled Vic's appearance. A few days later, on January 26, 2019, Ronald tweeted that Vic was a predator, a charge Ronald would repeat in at least 15 more tweets. Shortly after the Ranger Stop convention canceled Vic's appearance on January 29th, 2019, Denbo and another Sony executive informed Vic that his employment with Funimation was terminated following Denbo's investigation. January 30th, 2019, both the Anime New York City and Anime Milwaukee conventions canceled Vic's appearances. So here's the thing. Most of these are actually... This is all the same. So let's move this. Let's move through this quickly, because there's new stuff in here, and I want to get to that. Ron Toye says he is down because he took advantage of girls, buddy. How about get a grip on reality and stop harassing people? Over 100 accounts and still more to come, and you defend this sack of shit? Get a life. Get a life. Get a life and a universal remote and solve your problems. Get a haircut with Juliet. I want his head, I want his balls. And then here's the name and shame part of that tweet that they were talking about in the other filing. Here are the Funimation tweets. We don't need to go through this stuff. He's the legal definition of harassment. Let's see. February 19th, Monica tweeted a lengthy post in which she accused Vic of sexual harassment, kissing her without her consent, and treating others similarly at conventions. She claims to have spoken with investigators, false statement of fact, to corroborate the testimony of others telling similar stories to hers, and spoke of Funimation's investigations, false statement of fact. She closed by referring to Vic as a predator. And here's what she said. The investigations were incredibly thorough. They were incredibly thorough. Reminds me of Al Gore. That I don't know if any of you guys listen to Glenn Beck. Pat and Stu would always go through the Al Gore. The core of the Earth is incredibly hot, several million degrees. Each person was interviewed, the evidence weighed, and a decision made. Each company has to look out for the safety of their employees. In this instance, these companies felt they made the best decision to protect their employees and contract workers. Also, these companies aren't obligated to share any information with you. Many of the women who've come forward have chosen to remain anonymous, especially after seeing the way that I've been attacked. Please respect their privacy. Ronald continued carpet bombing, Vic. Here we go. This is new. As the case entered the motion to dismiss phase, additional facts became clear. Okay. Let's see. I don't listen to Glenn Beck anymore. I listened to Glenn Beck years ago. Very entertaining show. He just got too weepy. too into saying that everybody was going to get murdered by Nazis. Apparently, the work environment at Funimation Productions LLC was amorous and sexually charged for years. So Exhibit I, deposition of Monica Rial. Exhibit K, deposition of Vic Mignogna. Unsworn declaration of Chuck Huber. So they have replaced, apparently, Huber's affidavit with an unsworn declaration. Like I said, it's not in here. I have a feeling we might see a cleaner version of this response that we saw a minute ago. Its programming is still salacious or sexual, such as Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt, starring Jamie Markey, also a writer as Panty and Monica Rial as Stocking. A show all about sex and eating candy, and two fallen angels. Okay, so we read that just a minute ago. Does this look familiar? We might skip through some of this because this looks familiar. Oh, here we go. This is a new paragraph. Despite Han Leia's January 16th tweet, rumors of Vic being an asshole, using fans, and being a pedophile were begun by Funimation's de facto manager, Chris Sabat, Monica, and Jamie in the early 2000s. Long before any posts or tweets decided by defendants were made, Funimation nevertheless claims the January 16th tweet from Han Leia, tagging it with the question, "Hey Funimation, why do you employ a known pedophile?" and linking to a post on Pretty Ugly Little Liar as initiating allegations against Vic and triggered its investigation. But Han Leia did not state that Vic is a known pedophile, and Vic has never been charged as such. Indeed, on January 18th, Mars Girl posted, so we've got that. Yeah, so he's got not Vic in bold there. January 20th, Vic tweeted unequivocal denials, of course. A few days later, on January 22nd, Ronald began telephoning and tweeting Chris Slatosh, host of Kamehacon Convention, accused Vic of assaulting 4 people. So again, these are just fleshed out versions of what was in the response, because they can be in the pleading. These are factual. So here you go. Monica also telephoned Slatosh and called Vic a sexual predator, repeatedly asserted that criminal charges would soon be filed against him. During these conversations, Monica and Ronald both urged Slatosh to breach the contract. Due to Ronald's disclosure of the investigation, blah, blah, blah. Slatosh did eventually re-invited Vic. On January 23rd, Monica and Tammy Denbo, a Sony employee, exchanged. So these are the same things. There's more. I've skimmed this document. I haven't skimmed through all of these things. There's a whole new section that we'll get to. I just want to make sure there's nothing in here that we didn't literally just read in the first 2 hours. Confidential investigation, all of that stuff. Vic is guilty. So here's all Ron's tweets. Scott Barretto and Gibson, Lisa Gibson. This is all very similar. Notice these exhibits are all numbered here. Of course, they fixed that little glitch. Vic's ill-advised tweet. whoever said you should go ahead and tweet that stuff, don't listen to them. Oh, yeah, like whoever told Vic he should definitely condemn the death threat against Monica Rial. Don't condemn a death threat. It's not your death threat. Okay. Funimation tweeted following an investigation. Blah, blah, blah. Funimation's Twitter followers knew exactly what they were saying. No idea. Registered sex offender. All the same stuff. Conditions precedent. Okay. All conditions precedent. So defamation. So here's the pleading section, which is going to look the same. We're going to get into, here we go. Here's the really new section. Okay. Prima facie evidence. Plaintiff is attached to the second amended petition and to other pleadings. Where have you been, Fly? In this case, prima facie evidence sufficient to prove each element of the claim. So this is a good plan that they've done. Exhibit A is a timeline and a series of email communications between Monica Rial that shows numerous email communications between Funimation Management and Rial, both before and after Vic was terminated, and Funimation made its defamatory tweet on February 11th. This evidence is sufficient to support a rational inference that Funimation and Rial were colluding and conspiring to commit the torts complained of in Section 4. Here we go. Denbo contacts Rial. This is January 23rd. Rial replies twice. Denbo contacts Vic. Vic follows up with email. Funimation telephones Vic and tells him he's terminated. Denbo leaves voicemail for Rial with update. Rial emails Gibson. Gibson emails Rial and asks if she wants to talk. Rial emails Denbo and thanks her for her update. 6 emails total. Rial and Gibson talk by phone about Vic. Rial is interviewed by Scott Barretto. Rial emails Trina Simon accusing Vic of 2007 assault. Colleen Carroll emails Rial, apparently replying to a phone conversation. Starts with, "Hey, Monty," implying significant familiarity. Justin Cook is copied. Rial emails Carroll complaining about Vic. Rial emails Trina Simon about Vic, copies Carroll and Gibson. Rial emails Simon again, and Simon forwards emails to Karen Mika, Marshall Wright, and Geetanaji Dillon, all Funimation management. Denbo contacts Rial about a new matter brought to my attention and requesting a call. After call, Rial states that she was at ASEN May 19th to 22nd, 2016. In the 25 days following Vic's termination, Monica Rial exchanged at least 17 emails with Funimation Management about Vic. In addition, there were at least 3 phone calls and 1 voicemail between Rial and Funimation Management. Finally, there was at least 1 interview of Rial by Funimation Management. So they're laying out the collusion, the conspiracy, right? Exhibit B contains multiple tweets made in response to Funimation's February 11, 2019 tweets. These tweets are sufficient to support a rational inference that people of ordinary intelligence understood Funimation's February 11, 2019 tweets to state that Funimation's investigation had determined that Vic committed sexual assault or harassment. Whoops. Exhibit C is the unsworn declaration of Christopher Slatosh that includes actual text messages in which Ronald and Monica defame Vic and knowing of the contract between Vic and Mr. Slatosh's convention, which Mr. Slatosh attaches to his declaration, tortiously interfere with that contract as well as with prospective business relations between Vic and Mr. Slatosh's convention. Mr. Slatosh's declaration also describes Monica and Ronald working together to accomplish these objectives. Defame Vic, tortiously interfere with an existing contract, and tortiously interfere with prospective business relations, and thus shows their conspiracy. This evidence is sufficient to support a rational inference that Monica and Ronald committed defamation, tortious interference with the existing contract, tortious interference with prospective business relations, and civil conspiracy to commit those torts. Notice what they're doing here. Notice what they're doing here. They're laying out very clearly what the case is. Because at the end of the day, you can have all of the exhibits and evidence in the world. Oh, and by the way, if people don't understand why they filed the entire depositions and why they filed all of the evidence, like all of Ron's tweets, all of that stuff, all of the evidence that they file, they get to use at TCPA if they need it. So it's basically, and on appeal if they happen to lose some element of the TCPA or even all of it, they say, wait a minute. We have all of this evidence that was brought before the court. And it is clear, it is specific, here and here and here, and they can bring those issues up. That's why they do it. But so Exhibit D contains the unsworn declaration of Chuck Huber. Mr. Huber describes how the defendants, rather than Hanlea, contrived the allegations that Vic was a pedophile and a homophobe and misused his fans. Mr. Huber describes a conspiracy inside Funimation involving all defendants to get Vic. Mr. Huber details false statements that defendants made about Vic, such as criminal charges being made. This evidence is sufficient to support a rational inference that the defendants committed defamation, tortious interference with the existing contract, tortious interference with prospective business relations, and civil conspiracy to commit those torts. Exhibit E contains the unsworn declaration of plaintiff, in which he A. denies the allegations made by defendants in their answers and motions to dismiss, B. quantifies the economic harm caused by defendants' actions, and C. states the non-economic damages that defendant's actions caused him. Plaintiff's declaration sufficient to support a rational inference that defendants knew the falsity of their statements when those statements were made, and that he had suffered damages due to defendant's tortious conduct. See, since his statements, he's always denied these things. And there's no proof that he did any of them. That's the problem that they have. So not only can they not show that he's a sexual predator by any actual evidence, he's expressly denied any of that stuff. So they're arguing that with his denial and their lack of evidence, they have knowledge of the falsity. He has said it's false. If he said it's false, they know it's false, is the argument. But it all has to be weighed in favor of the plaintiff. So that's what they're going with. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know. TCPA is such a mess. It's a messed up law. It forecloses meritorious lawsuits all the time. There's actually a Supreme Court case admitting that, but a Texas Supreme Court case, I should say, saying that even though the legislature says it's supposed to preserve meritorious lawsuits, that's not actually the purpose. So that's nice. That's a good decision. But it's a mess, and it's very challenging to pass, of course. But here you go. This is their method for trying to show it. And it all has to be weighed in favor of Vic. And that's the big advantage that Vic gets at TCPA if the court remembers that the entire time. A lot of the problems with the cases that we've seen, the appeals cases, the cases that keep getting brought up by Law Twitter, what you keep finding is that the plaintiff failed to do something. He failed to actually adequately plead the elements. He failed to, and they keep saying he failed to prove. Law Twitter will say, well, he has to prove it. He doesn't have to prove it. He has to adequately plead it. And a lot of these people are not adequately pleading it. So. Exhibit F contains a series of tweets showing that Jamie was a member of a private Discord server devoted to defaming the plaintiff. Oh no. The eponymous name of the server was Kick Vic Support Group. This evidence is sufficient to support a rational inference that Markey committed defamation, tortious interference with existing contract, tortious interference with prospective business relations, and civil conspiracy to commit those torts. Oh, that'll be fun to go through tomorrow. Exhibit G contains a series of tweets by Jamie calling plaintiff a liar and accusing him of being a sexual predator, as well as stating, I want his head, I want his balls, I want him to feel an ounce of pain he's caused others, and then effing choke on it. This evidence is sufficient to support a rational inference that Jamie committed defamation, tortious interference with existing contract, tortious interference with prospective business relations, and civil conspiracy to commit those torts. It also supports a rational inference that she engaged in her tortious conduct with actual malice towards Vic. Law Twitter's going to have a field day with that, but who cares? Doesn't matter what they think. Doesn't matter what they think. Exhibit H contains a series of private messages sent by Jamie stating, among other things, that plaintiff has a 15-plus year history of harassment. This evidence is sufficient to support a rational inference that Markey defamed Vic. Exhibit 1 contains, can't say a 15-plus year history of harassment if there is no history of harassment. Exhibit 1 contains Monica's deposition, which, among other things, she confirms her intimate involvement in Funimation's investigation and decisions following termination of Vic's relationship with Funimation. Evidence that is sufficient to support a rational inference that Monica and Funimation were engaged in a civil conspiracy to defame Vic, tortiously interfere with his existing and prospective business relations. Exhibit J contains Ronald's deposition and the exhibits attached here to. Exhibit 28 contains hundreds of Ronald's defamatory tweets, as well as tweets that confirm he, Monica, and Jamie sought to have Vic banned from future work and future conventions. He had inside knowledge of Funimation's investigation into allegations against Vic and the timing of Funimation's defamatory tweets, information he could only have received directly or indirectly from Funimation. And he considered Monica a Funimation employee. This evidence is sufficient to support a rational inference that Ron defamed Vic and engaged in a civil conspiracy with the other defendants to defame Vic, tortiously interfere with his existing and prospective business relations, It is also sufficient to support a rational inference that Monica either was an employee or agent of Funimation, making Funimation vicariously liable for her tortious conduct. Ronald's tweets also support a rational inference that he engaged in his tortious conduct with actual malice towards Vic. Exhibit K contains the depositions of plaintiff, which he denies the allegations that defendants levied against him, which is sufficient evidence at this stage to prove the falsity of defendants' defamatory tweets. Plaintiff's testimony also constitutes evidence that is sufficient to support a rational inference that Funimation and the other defendants tortiously interfere with his existing and prospective business relations and caused him damage. Exhibit L contains a tweet by Monica made 3 days after her telephone calls with Funimation executives Gibson and Barreto, whereby she mirrors Ronald's language that the truth will come out. This evidence is sufficient to support a rational inference that Monica was provided inside information about and participated in Funimation's plans to issue tweets that would defame Vic, hence sufficient to support a rational inference of civil conspiracy to defame Vic. Further, it's sufficient to support a rational inference that Monica was acting as Funimation's agent, having confidential knowledge of Funimation's plans when she tweeted the truth will come out. Exhibit M contains Jamie's tweet that appears to be synchronized with similar tweets by Ronald and Monica, that Vic is a monster. There are dozens upon dozens of reports. This evidence is sufficient to support a rational inference that Jamie defamed Vic and conspired with Ronald and Monica to do so. Ride or die, right, Jamie? Friends for life. Back up your friends, right, Jamie? Further shows that Jamie's claimed inside knowledge, as both Monica and Ronald claim to have, dozens upon dozens of reports, which supports the rational inference that Funimation had shared confidential knowledge with Jamie, which supports the rational inference that Jamie was conspiring with the other defendants to defame Vic and tortiously interfere with his existing and prospective business relations. It is also sufficient to support a rational inference that Jamie either was an employee or agent of Funimation, making Funimation vicariously liable for her tortious conduct. Exhibit N contains tweets by Monica following up on Funimation's tweets, alleging that the result of its investigation was that plaintiff had engaged in harassment or threatening behavior. Monica reinforced that understanding of Funimation's tweets with her description of multiple investigations with testimony, proof, evidence. I am one of dozens of men and women who participated. This evidence is sufficient to support a rational inference that Monica defamed Vic. Evidence is also sufficient to support a rational inference that Monica was provided inside information about and participated in Funimation's plans to issue tweets that would defame Vic, hence sufficient to support a rational inference of civil conspiracy to defame Vic. Further, it's sufficient to support a rational inference Monica was acting as Funimation's agent, particularly since Funimation has never issued a statement contradicting Monica's description of the investigation. Exhibit O contains an affidavit by Stan Dolan that completely contradicts Monica's claims that plaintiff assaulted her at convention in 2007. It's sufficient to support a rational inference that Monica's defamation of Vic was made with actual malice, i.e. she knew her statements were false. Exhibit P contains an unsworn declaration, by Erica Mccord that completely contradicts Faisal Ahmad's affidavit attached to Monica Rial and Ron Toye's motion to dismiss, pursuant to the TCPA. This evidence is sufficient to support a rational inference that Monica's defamatory statements about Vic were made with actual malice, i.e. she knew that her statements were false. Exhibit Q contains a tweet by Jamie stating that plaintiff assaulted her. She could not remember when by grabbing her hair, whispering something in her ear that she could not remember, then stating that Vic had done this exact thing to half a dozen other women that I personally know, that he's a predator. Vic has denied any such conduct, and the unsworn declaration of Chuck Hubert, well, it's supposed to be Huber, but, probably auto-corrected, undermines Jamie's claim she was too afraid to come forward. This evidence is sufficient to support a rational inference that Jamie defamed plaintiff with actual malice. Plaintiff prays that on final hearing, we have judgment against the defendants for actual, consequential, and punitive damages according to the claims pled above and in amounts to be determined on final hearing. Pre- and post-judgment interest at the highest rate permitted by law and costs of court. Plaintiff prays for such other and further relief to which he may be justly or equitably entitled, and general relief. So there you go, guys. That was served upon the parties, filed and served yesterday, Labor Day, September 12th. That is that's the new second amended petition. And I mean, they can probably try and object to that amended petition, but there's no basis to object from it or to object to it. There's no new causes of action. There's no removal of causes of action. They haven't had to respond to anything in this amended petition that they wouldn't already be responding to. There is no prejudice to the defendants for this amended petition. And it's Lemoine will have to know, right? That it's, did I say 12th? I meant 2nd. Sorry. It's late. I'm low on sleep. It's late. I apologize. Lemoine has to know also that practitioners often will amend their pleadings for the purpose of the TCPA because the Supreme Court has said that the petition is the evidence, that it is the evidence that best describes the case, right? And it's the live petition that they'll have to go with. That's the evidence that's in there. So, you know, when it comes out, go find the document. It'll probably be on Shane's little Dropbox, or it'll be on Kiwi Farms. If you're in my Discord, it'll pop up in my Discord. All of that. Go find it. Find the differences. They're interesting. There's some interesting differences in there. Cause of action are the same. Statements and evidence have changed a little bit. You know, they've gotten new stuff. They've cleaned up some of the old stuff. So very, very interesting. I think things are looking good. And I'm going to just suggest that I don't know. I'm going to bet the unsworn declarations are basically the same as the affidavits. But I don't know that for sure. We'll find out for sure tomorrow. But yeah. So we've got super chats to go through. We've got oh, I said Lemoine gasses out on Twitter. Did you guys see that? There we go. Where are we? J-Dolph Lemoine. The Fuhrer. Here, I'll pull this up. This is just for fun. Look at this. Look at this embarrassment of a human being. Absolutely embarrassing. So, oh, there's something hold on. We need to. I gotta pull up something for you. You gotta know. Look at this. Look at this. Let's be very clear here, right? Let's be hold on. Okay, look at Lemoine here. Husband, father, son, junior high debate coach, hunter, business trial lawyer, enemy of anonymous Twitter keyboard warriors. Pay real close attention to that. Enemy of anonymous Twitter keyboard warriors. Who does he pal up with? Okay, incels. How many of you are hiding out there in my 434 followers? Oh, God, Lemoine, that's embarrassing. At Renfamous, an anonymous Twitter keyboard warrior. Jay Sean. Hold on, I gotta check something here. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let's see. Oh, no. Oh, no. What happened? Well, guys, we might have, this is breaking news. Breaking news. I gotta show you. I gotta show you. We'll have to explore this. I don't know what this means, but this is Texas Rule of Civil Procedure 21C. Are you ready to read this with me, y'all? I hope you're ready to read this with me. Privacy protection for filed documents. Sensitive data defined. Sensitive data consists of 1. A driver's license number, passport number, social security number, tax identification number, or similar government-issued personal identification number. 2. A bank account number, a credit card number, or other financial account number. And 3. A birth date, home address, and the name of any person who was a minor when the underlying suit was filed. What's this? All right, so that's a definition of sensitive data. That's the definition of sensitive data. Filing of documents containing sensitive data prohibited unless the inclusion of sensitive data is specifically required by a statute, court rule, or administrative regulation. An electronic or paper document, except for wills or documents filed under seal containing sensitive data, may not be filed with a court unless the sensitive data is redacted. Redaction of sensitive data, retention requirement. Sensitive data must be redacted by using the letter X in place of each omitted digit or character, or by removing the sensitive data in a manner indicating that the data has been redacted. Filing party must retain an unredacted version of the filed documents during the pendency of the case, and any related appellate proceedings filed within 6 months of the date the judgment is signed. If a document must contain sensitive data, the filing party must notify the clerk by designating the document as containing sensitive data when the document is electronically filed, or the document is not electronically filed by including on the upper left-hand side of the first page the phrase, "Notice this document contains sensitive data." Non-conforming documents. The clerk may not refuse to file a document that contains sensitive data in violation of this rule. The clerk may identify the error to be corrected and state a deadline for the party to resubmit a redacted substitute document. So that's pretty interesting. It's almost like Lemoine specifically didn't redact it, and there is no statute that would require my home address be unredacted on there. So there you go. No. The home address is not considered sensitive if the home address is a minor. The name, so these are three distinct things. A birth date, a home address, and the name of any person who was a minor when the underlying suit was filed. And those are three distinct things, not three things together, if that's clear. So, yeah, but there you go. I think anyway, I'd make that argument if I had to. I don't think it applies to minors. I guess we'll probably never find out, but. No, that's the old repeal. This is a new Rule 21C. This is the current one. Don't worry about it. See, comment to 2013 change. Rule 21C is added to provide privacy protection for documents filed in civil cases. They repealed it in 86. They added in 2013. So, there you go. It's just another one of those things, right? So, we'll have to see. Be pretty funny if there was some sort of remedy for that. Oh, what's up? Okay. Sorry. Okay, let's but so sorry. I'm so scatterbrained because I need sleep. Let's go scatterbrain. So well, that's true. That is the address of a minor. So, well, was. Okay, incels, how many of you are hiding out there in my 434 followers? Infamous hooked me up with this blockchain wizardry. Soon you will have to try out your mosquito jokes on your mom. Oh my god. I didn't even read this far. His tweet was so embarrassing in the first line that I didn't read the rest of it. And when this is all over, remember defeat only stings for the loser. Hashtag armored mosquito. Oh god. Okay. Like, okay, guys, look, I'll address this. There's a DM going around about Stephanie Nadolny accusing Chris Sabat of some improper conduct, so to speak, right? I've had this DM for a long time. I have been trying really hard to confirm it. Okay? I haven't been able to confirm it. I'm going to put that out there. I've not been able to confirm this. I have held off on reporting on this because I haven't been able to confirm it. So, but now it's out. The news is out. I'm not breaking this story. I have not had contact with Stephanie Nadolny. So I cannot verify the accuracy of this DM. I'm being very clear here. I cannot say that this is true or correct, but here it is. This is the DM. So, Stephanie Nadolny. Sabat is a bully and has been out to get those who don't run in his pack since day one. I turned down his advances, and ever since then, since like 07, he's been out to get me and make my life miserable. So that is the DM that I've been trying to confirm this for a very long time. And I've seen this screenshot several times. I've never been able to actually pin it down. So you'll have to determine for yourself what that means. I'm not going to say it's true. I can't verify it. So that's again, I have to be very careful on this stuff. But I'm still, if I ever can, Stephanie, if you're out there, Stephanie Nadolny, I would love to talk to you about this. I would love to get the story about this, and I would love to make sure that this is actually you, and that what you mean is what's implied, to clear it up. So, Stephanie, if you're out there, if you ever happen to somehow see this, please, I have sent you a couple messages. I know you've seen them, so please respond to one of them. And yeah, let's figure this stuff out. Because if this is if this happened to you, who else would it happen to? Funimation's got a real problem. It looks like. And you're not the first person this week to accuse Chris Sabat of this. So, you know, let's figure it out. Hey, Sony, are you watching? Funimation, are you who are we kidding? Of course you are. Of course you are. How long are you going to let this go on? How long are you going to pretend it was Vic? Maybe it's not Sabbath. I don't know. That's the thing. I need to confirm this. I'm actually annoyed that it's out, but it's out. So if it's out, here we go. This is circulating around. If I can confirm this, I will do so. Stephanie will talk to me. I will talk to her. If she wants an interview, I'll give her an interview. So there's that, guys. All right, let's do, whatchamacallit, super chats. And then I'm going to go to sleep. I'm not going to do Twitch tonight. I just need to sleep. I'll do Twitch tomorrow, though. Twitch tomorrow. Okay. So if you are, let's get back to Hangouts here. If you are going to peace out during Super Chats, I know many of you do. Thank you for watching tonight. I hope the second amended petition was a nice surprise. Like I said, that document was pretty ugly. The response document. It didn't need to be pretty. That's something that Law Twitter keeps ignoring. The evidence included in that filing is the same evidence that's in that second amended petition, and that evidence is devastating. It is absolutely devastating. The Huber affidavit, Slaytosh affidavit, the Vic affidavit, those three combined are absolutely devastating to their case at TCPA. So, Monica and Ron, I mean, get the special ointment. Mr. Popo's coming. And now he do fuck. Oh my God. All right. Okay, let's, so yeah, if you are hang out with me. We're going to do super chats and justice chats. It's always a good time. And then we'll wrap up the show in a little bit here. All right. How many of y'all out there would take a film and media class with Matthew McConaughey? Because apparently that's what he's doing at UT, which is awesome. I couldn't imagine. That would be a great class. Go Woke, Get Broke says, have you interacted with the National Lawyers Guild? They act as Antifa's unofficial law office, providing observers and bail legal advice when Antifa get in trouble for breaking the law. If Antifa gets more violent plus tracked by LEO, is NLG untouchable? I don't know. Never heard of them. And no, I've never interacted with them. I wouldn't, I don't like lawyer professional associations. Kay says, seems like you have a sort of a bias for the defense in cases, being a defense attorney, but even you have to call BS on Kate Steinle's murderer walking free. California is absolutely insane. I'm not familiar with Kate Steinle's murder, so I don't know. Could be. I have a bias towards the defense until the cops do their job. If they do the job appropriately, and the person gets all the protections, and they're not railroaded, then I don't have any sympathy for criminals. I just have sympathy for people who are accused. Convict them properly, please. Where Tiger Ray says, Nick Rekieta preventing suicide. Zoe Quinn, hashtag me tooing people to suicide. I don't get the credit my Discord does, man. Unknown Watcher says, here we see the boomer in his unnatural environment. See how he struggles with the smallest technical task. Jay donated, says, Limp Dolph seems angry at you. He sure does, doesn't he? I think he protected his tweets to protect himself. Did you blacklist him from the con slut escort service? P.S. Wouldn't certain conduct on Twitter be in violation of certain policies on harassment? Seeing as though they don't condone it, they don't seem to stop it either. Well, you know, trying to figure out Twitter's policies on... Yeah. The policies of Funimation. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. He says, I've been thinking about Ron's sheepdog moment, and knowing what we know now, it puts it into a different context. Seems like some kind of guy who thinks he is powerful and is now using his power to defend women. Oh, of course. Like, this isn't a slight at Ron, for once. People who are vocally, like the idea of the male feminist having some history of horrific abuse, it makes some sort of perverted sense, right? Like, either they're trying to shield or hide their past actions, or maybe even current actions, or they recognize what they did and genuinely changed. Maybe Ron is a changed man. Ron seems to have anger management issues. He seems to have impulse control issues. But Monica could also probably beat him up, so it's hard to say. Arctic Pride, read that one. He says, I can't express how disgusting it is, not just the abuse he committed, but that he might think physically and mentally abusing women makes him powerful. What a vile man. Yeah, he does seem vile. I don't know if that's why, but he is vile. Arctic Pride says, also, F YouTube for not allowing me to send a super chat. Yeah, F you, YouTube. Deep Fried Lettuce says, hey, Nick. Heard you were buying a 3950X. Happy with my 3900X myself. With the majority of 3000 series Ryzen CPUs not hitting the boost clocks advertised by AMD, think they are open to a class action lawsuit? Won't be the first time. Oh, they're open to it. The question is, how do you settle it? And they'll probably settle it with just a check, or here's a RAM stick or something. TLJ Screwjob says, so my brother is not into anime at all. In fact, he thinks it's weird. Regardless, I told him about the dad joke with the jelly bean hypocrisy of funny leaks, and his response was, yeah, that's dumb. And that's all I told him. They're all screwed. Mestayoku says, hold up, Nikki. You stood up for Vic? What a effing scumbag. I'm out of here. Also, I live near Plano, and Knockout's haircuts are the Hooters of barbershops. So not only does Toye beat women, but he also ogles women at a place called Knockouts. I'm telling you, you got to Google it. They're great. TLJ Screwjob says, I just remembered Ty could bring up the Samantha Inuhart Facebook story about the investigations being really kind, and I hate Vic because he slept with my best friend in my bed, just to drive home the conspiracy plus employee argument for Funimation. Yeah, whatever happened with that? Samantha Inuhart was apparently completely lying about participating in an investigation because she hasn't been mentioned anywhere. Whew. Blink your eyes, 1400. I saw this idea passed on Facebook of putting deployable spike strips on school buses to stop people from passing, and it being a good idea. I think this is a bad idea with various legal reasons. Thoughts? Yeah, terrible. Terrible idea. One, the spike strips might make it, well, they'd add liability issues for the kids. They'd add all sorts of technical and liability issues for the school buses. Terrible plan. Joni Baloney says, QRD on how Funimation, Kick Vic, and Toei are reacting to leaks. Silently. A lot of Kick Vic's in denial. Ron Toye's in denial about the leaks. He thinks they're going to backfire soon. Just so you know, that was another DM that the Funimation stuff is going to backfire. He also seemed to imply that I sent the audio to some LGBT blog. I don't know what he's talking about. The man seems crazy. So, yeah. RM was here, says, Chris, I preach #MeToo while I ram it in behind you, Sabbath. Oh my God. Skaggy Onsai says, oh, Jay Sean, it's a shame that Ty and Nick got into your head so much that you lost your mind, bent the knee to Ren. Here's 0 for 6 to you, baby. Gary Rawlings says, whoa! Blink your eyes, 1400 says, I was at Dragon Con. Jesse Thoughtmore was supposed to be there. I'm pleased to announce that I survived without the displeasure of running into her. The guy from that thing says, subs are greater than dubs, but you weebs have any thoughts on the Uzumaki trailer? Junji Ito seems to channel my acid trips, and Colin Stretson killed the Hereditary score. I'm actually kind of pumped. Gothic says, after this, Rial and Ty can sell sacred ointment and bathwater to cover the cost of this lawful beatdown. Gothic says, Rial and Ron, yes, my mistake. Rial, not Rial and Ty, Rial and Ron. Death Tree Origin says, late and massive. Fatal System Error says, muted. It's all part of the plan, right, Boomer? It wasn't. Queen Nida says, remember that what they did to Alec Holoka was the same thing they wanted for Vic. Yeah, I think so. Ron denied that they wanted Vic to die, by the way. I'll be very clear that Ron denied that. I think Ron misunderstood what I was saying because I don't think Ron understands basic things. Chayton Moon says, I quit my job to go to road rage. Is there any interesting jobs I should apply for as a 19-year-old with no schooling? Whatever you want, buddy. The world's your oyster. You know, get a CDL or something. Keaton, travel the world. Keaton says, I didn't know Legal Eagle is hosting tonight's live stream. How dare you? Mega Gamer 1988 says, how screwed is Funimation now that Toei is setting their sights on them? If that's true, it could be pretty bad. It could be pretty bad. Harbinger, or wait, Kadak1 says, do you think this phase of the court case will be done in about 5 years? I'm in final stage cirrhosis and some days have been getting worse. Oh man, that sucks. Yes, I think it'll be done in 5 years. Buddy, I'm sorry to hear that. Let's see. Someone has asked me to shield the GoFundMe one more time. I guess there's no harm in bringing it up one more time. What do we got? It's a 241,925. So thank you to Daniel Johnson, Portland, Oregon, and Ernest Vaughn. So thank you guys. Thank you. Kyle Rambler says, if things don't work, just apply special ointment. Then it'll go smoothly. Matt Muniz says, so the leaks, it's partially kind of okay because they're doing it in the context of non-real characters. But due to their aggressive SJW white knighting and online policing, it's hypocritical. Yeah, the hypocrisy and the unequal application of company policy. That's the problem. And lying and pretending that a jelly bean joke is enough to fire a man. That's, or even enough to report him. Oh my gosh, Monica reported that. And then there she is saying, sorry, where did I go? Monica's in the booth saying hard-ons and cock gobbling or whatever it was. And then there she is pretending like a jelly bean joke was reportable. No one important says, I finally see why you told people to leave Funimation when you did. You mad lad, at least you were nice to warn them. I've been warning them all the entire time. I've been warning them the entire time. They're about to enter a public fight. There will be discovery. There's eyes on the case. People are reporting on it because there's a community that cares about it. All of it's gonna come out. Gonna come out. V Vargas 2099 says, thanks to you for providing the audio. My Twitter. Oh, you're welcome, buddy. You got a huge response on that. That was great. Bad Vibe says, here, buy a fly swatter. Slap that MF into Texas. Finfrog says, the file was too big. That's what she said. Dan Rusko says, this is for the fly. Finfrog says, I hope that fly in your sacred ointment is also sacred. Brain Paint says, Walter White in the fly stream. Oh, guys, so did you guys see Doucette says that if I show up at the hearing, that it would, you know, J-Dolph would have a process server there to file a federal lawsuit against me, right? You saw that, of course. He has also stated that he was just making it up to bait the hook or something. Who knows? Who knows what these disease-riddled minds come up with and think is clever? But, yeah. If they think that J-Dolph, like the threat of him serving me a federal lawsuit in the courtroom is a thing, eh? If you want to waste your money, like all of it, I guess, service is one thing. Jurisdiction and venue are different. So, there you go. Pyretta Riddle says, con sluts rise up. Talbot Link says, find a Harbor Freight and buy an electric racket to swat that bug. Pro Hero All Might says, I'm late. Did you already cover Ron's Yelp reviews? I'm not going to cover all of them. They're so funny, though. Zoe Quinn, Bad Medicine Woman. That's from Finfrog. Pyretta Riddle says, please give more than the tip tonight. Also, con sluts rise up. Israel De Leon says her name was August Ames. Yes. Kalinka Pavlova says, I don't get the Jez joke. Me either. Malik says, how can Kick Vic still act so confident? Because they have to. Wing012 says, never give VAs too much power over your company. Never give your VAs any power over your company. Oh my God, they're employees or contractors. Who cares about them? Nathan Ashcraft says, show me the DMs, please God. Not tonight. It's got to be a different show. Gotta be a different show. Hurry up and wait says, stuck on duty tonight. Thanks, Nick and chat, for keeping me sleep deprived. My sleep deprived as entertained on Balls Watch. Hey, you're welcome. I don't know if the fly is actually landing on me anymore, if I just feel like it is. NSR 9mm says, why is Ty letting Greg Doucette tweet Vic is a well-documented pedophile and a sexual predator? Isn't this defamation as well? At this point, it's harder to say. Also, Greg wants to be sued. There's no, like, what are you going to do? You could send cease and desist. He'd ignore it. You'd have to sue him, and that's what he wants to happen, because it would raise his profile and all that stuff. It's just ignore him and he'll literally die. He's one of those things. Dr. Whip says, I can hear Ron Toye screaming, I'm a real boy like Pinocchio in Shrek 2. Finfrog says, Ron gets the let me get my girlfriend haircut at Knockout Haircuts. Ray Drake says, you've been standing up for Vic. WTF next, you're going to say you're a lawyer. Only on the weekdays. Hurry up and wait says, in the spirit of Jim, wear a Labo suit at the trial. F application of self is Ron's review of Okratron. He says, the windows are so clean you can see in there at night and it looks like a fun workplace. Is that a warning to Sabat/Monica that he's keeping an eye on them? Yikes. Patrick Radcliffe says, Iago's sweating bullets now. Will Pisechny says, I'm going to be at the hearing Friday. I'll see you there, Nick. I'd love to buy you a drink after if that fits your schedule. Probably not. Probably not fitting my schedule. But message me or email me or something, Will. Helen Steck says, I was an internet weirdo at Road Rage Minneapolis. Get some good sleep, buddy. Good night. Hey, awesome, man. Good to see you. Kilroy was here, says, I was summoned for jury duty for later this month. It's my first time. Do you have any advice for me? No, not really. I mean, just go in there and talk about, whatchamacallit. Jury nullification. That'll get you out. PsychoFire23 says, Ty Beard is actually Vic's JoJo stand. Heaven's Door Requiem. Bad Vibe says, Sabat is a short, badly aging man. Needs the couch. Timmy Carl says, what is your opinion about Pro Jared's new video on the lawsuit he may file? I haven't watched it. Jay says, get a chest expander. Heart pumping equals wake up. It's a long story. Bad Vibe says, show the nice little present Ty left on page 568. 568, huh? I don't remember what that was. Where's that? 5. Oh, yeah, this is great. This is great. Vic Mignogna doing press for the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie with dear friends. It was so much fun. 17th of December, 2018. And look at that ad. Top 10 anime betrayals. Thank you for reminding me of that, Bad Vibes. Oh, that was good. That was good. Oh, man. Okay. Theo Faces says, let's drain the Funimation swamp. Psycho Fire 23 says, his deep space mustache, what Sabat calls his casting couch. Wing012 says, number 41 Dragon Ball Kai was aired in Japan in 2009. White Kong says, so which was it? Did they think he was gay or a pedo? Maybe they think all gays are pedos. I don't know what they do. Ninja Work 111 says, I changed GTA Motorcycle Club name to I Stand With Vic. Cool. Enter the QB says, I love how Chris Rager talked crap about Vic fans for the longest, yet protected his tweets. Guess underneath that gorgeous cock was a pussy all along. All of these guys, all of them, they talk such a huge game, and the moment they get pushed back. I mean, don't forget that before Lemoine protected his tweets, he was tweeting out trying to be a tough guy. Trying to be like a Twitter keyboard warrior. And then a couple people responded, not even that many, and suddenly, gotta protect my tweets. I don't want to look like an idiot anymore. Kevin McLeod says, seems Funimation staff are full of BS. Sure does. Daniel H says, Chuck's statements make it seem like Sabbath wanted to be a pimp lord and Casting Couch King, not very plus ultra. Emmett says, can you explain for the lay people what a TCPA is and the purpose they serve in cases like this? Real quickly, TCPA is a Texas Citizens Participation Act. It is a broad category of motions called an anti-slap motion. And what it does, it allows you to dismiss a lawsuit against you if the lawsuit was brought to infringe upon your right of free speech. You don't have the free speech to defame someone, to commit perjury, to commit fraud, stuff like that. Those aren't protected speech, but you do have free speech to voice your opinion on matters of public concern and stuff, as long as you're not doing an actual unlawful thing. So some people just don't like the speech of others. Like, for example, Maddox filed a lawsuit against Dick Masterson and Asterios Kokonos for calling him a cuck a whole bunch. Cuck, 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 cuck. That's their right. You have a right to your speech that insults someone. You don't have a right to defame someone. And there's a difference between an insult and defamation. So that's the short answer. The purpose it serves is to expedite getting this lawsuit out and not causing the defendants a bunch of money, because that's what they used to do. Like, you just sue someone and it would cost them a fortune to defend it. And then, so they'd have to just admit that it was a lie, even if it wasn't necessarily a lie. It might have just been protected speech, but they may have to retract. So it just prevents that. It prevents it's to level the playing field between the rich and the poor, as most of these things actually are. Skeet Meat says, anyone hype for the new Total Warhammer 2 content coming out? Man, I haven't played Total War Warhammer 2 in so long, and that game is fun. Your favorite faction? Mine are the Mummy people. My favorite faction is it's always been a tie between Chaos and Vampires, man. Gwynbeer says, in the auto mechanic world, fixing anything Audi would involve the service position. Steps are simple. Take car apart, bend over, apply sacred ointment. Perfect for Rontoye. Blink Your Eyes 1400 says, what about the others and the next rounds of suits? I don't know. That's between Ty and Vic. Kalinka Pavlova says, could Denbo's involvement as a Sony exec open up Sony to liability? Potentially. There needs to be more evidence of that right now. They need more discovery for that. A disagreement with someone on Twitter about it. By the way, I have a Twitter now, guys. So yeah, you can follow Kalinka. Toa Jalen Aurelius says, do you know any VAs who support Vic? I do, but I'm not going to out them because I can't do that to them. So there you go. Sorry. Yeah. Mad Chris 2449 says, do you think that Jay Sean Lemoine would take Sabbath's sacred ointment in the casting couch? Maybe we can see Lemoine voice act? No. Finn Frog says, a penny saved is a penny earned. Isn't that neat, Nikki? No. Bad Vibe says, fact, West Nile causes brain damage. Name says, they dubbed the West Nile infested mosquito One Puncture Man as he defeated Jay Sean's lungs in a single shot. His anime starts the next wet season. Whew, some of these things you guys say are brutal. Daniel Villarreal, I don't know how to say that. When the audio clips came out, I tweeted them to the Mexico dub actors, and Mexican Vegeta liked my tweets, especially the one where I said, Chris, disgrace Dragon Ball. So Mexican dub actors are on our side. I like the Spike Man says, yo, chap, what was the name of Yamcha's dumb flying cat? I refuse to Google it. Is it Puyo? Doa darn. Divis Magus says, it appears to me that Ty and Vic are prepping the evidence to go after Sabbath with how much they are mentioning his name. It could be. Boy du Wen says Lemoine in French would mean the monk. Lemoine. 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 No one important says all together, folks. How embarrassing. Victor Phantasm says, Daddy Wrecking Ball. Jim says that nothing will happen to Zoe Quinn, who helped involuntarily suspend, strangulate Alec Holkoa. Thoughts? Holoka. I haven't read the situation, but it's really, really hard to do something like that. It's really hard to prosecute. Underdog Anomaly says, was the Kara Edwards Reese Facebook post not added? I don't think it was at this point. Because again, Kara Edwards isn't being sued for defamation. They could, I don't know if they'll bring it up at the hearing or whatever, but I think they're just going to try and strike that affidavit. Mario Carter 13 says sheepdog plus land whale plus armored mosquito equals Yif suit. Farasha Hannum says Nick Stephanie's last name is Nadolny Fernandez. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. Psychofire 23 says, in all seriousness, Kick Vic wanted Vic to die. They're no better than Shinji Aoba. I hope every anti-Vic VA's and anti-Vic content creators' careers to be ruined. Victor Phantasm says, Alec Holauka necked himself. He was like Vic Mignogna plus 9,000 soy. Falsely accused and passed away due to false allegations. Can his fam sue? Potentially. I mean, they could potentially sue. I don't know if they'd win. And there's a lot of details to a wrongful death suit like that. Arbel says, I'm amazed that these people are sticking with lies as a defense. Truth will come out indeed. By the way, what are your thoughts on Tullamore Dew? I don't have any thoughts. Feel like I've tried it, but I can't remember. I might have had some at Road Rage, but I haven't had enough to make an educated opinion on it. Automata says, Ron probably referring the leak story hit pride.com. Oh, did it? It hit pride.com? That's funny. E.M. Dubois says, when I confronted Goku over his homophobic slur being bi, he blocked me. What a hypocrite. Thedius says, Popomar's coming, yo. Brian Dewig says, Popomar. Sorry, Brian Dewig says, but Nick, they welcome Discovery. Oh, don't they? They welcome all of this stuff. We want to do it the right way. Conspiratorial Walnut says, so do you think the judge is going to beat the Fuhrer to death with the almost 2,000 pages in total from everything for wasting his time? He could just hand it to him. That might just kill him. Let's see. Tablet Link says, talk to Phil/Dollhouse yet? I haven't talked to anybody, man. Hascrack says, join the Discord. Glad to support a creator I enjoy. Hey, thank you. George Lopez says, what's with the Funimation couch casting? I guess we have to ask Chuck Huber and anyone who was casting couched. The allegations are that women were offered positions in exchange for sexual favors. That's what casting couches are. So, Liz Reptile says, check your Discord DMs. I sent you a clip of you saying, get the special ointment, Mr. Popo coming and he do. Nilix7 says, another way I've found you can get out of jury duty is to describe how bad human memory is as trying to write on a piece of steak. Nathan Kish, does hear anything from Montegraph recently, or did that moron totally disappear? I think he is jerking off John Michael Kelly somewhere. I made that up. That's completely just an insult to both of them. I haven't heard anything on him in quite a while. Me either. Nikki. Siren Jag says, Jay Sean is to lawyers what Gillette is to lawyers. Galinka Pavlova says, thank you. Bad Vibe says, if Lemoine equals monk, he should take the vow of silence. Satanic Potato says, I hope Zoe Quinn gets exactly what she gave. Kill yourself, Zoe Quinn, in Minecraft. Oh, wait, no. It doesn't say kill. It says KYS, so it must mean kiss yourself. That's probably what it means. Steam Tank says, check your Twitter DM from me. You'll get a good laugh. And DManDog056 says, can you talk to Chuck? It depends on if Chuck wants to talk to me. I don't know. I could reach out. I don't know. We'll see. Or we won't see. I don't know. All right, guys. That's the show for tonight. I need so much sleep. Tomorrow's show, we'll probably check out that motion to strike. Since I haven't really burned through that yet. Check out that motion to strike and see if there's any other stuff that comes out. I'm guessing, I think their deadline to file their response is like tomorrow, because they didn't really think through the filing when they agreed to it. Maybe it's Wednesday, but I think it's tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. All right, guys. One yawn for the road and one refresh on that GoFundMe. We're at 241, 925. There we go. All right, guys. See you tomorrow. Hope you have a good night. No Twitch tonight. Twitch tomorrow. Sleep tonight. Peace. Peace.